convoy was hit. It was bad. After I came home, I could still hear booms and see tracer fire. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
With help from DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm part of DAV. We're veterans helping veterans to get the benefits they've earned. And I give my veterans my all.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Naomi Mathis, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Colorectal cancer doesn't stop for COVID-19. Hello, I'm Dr. Cecilia Brewington. If you are age 45 or older, it's time to return to care and get tested. The government requires insurance companies to cover not only colonoscopy, but a range of tests, including virtual colonoscopy and other less invasive exams. Talk to your doctor about your options today. For more information on virtual colonoscopy, visit radiologyinfo.org.
Did you know if you're an adult living with asthma or COPD, getting sick with pertussis may result in severe complications? Pertussis, or whooping cough, is a serious respiratory illness. Vaccination is the best way to help protect against pertussis. Speak to your healthcare provider to ensure you are up to date on your Tdap vaccination. Learn more at lung.org.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time to get up and get your day started.
Morant. Oh! A jawbreaker!
It's Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports 56 Mornings is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at the corner of White Station and Quince. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
They get up every morning from the long clocks, wanna take the 8:15 into the city.
And then there was one remaining team after it's all said and done in the National Basketball Association that has not won a game this season. Unfortunately, it is your Memphis Grizzlies. A rough night last night in Salt Lake City. Meanwhile, in Arizona, the lone remaining team in Major League Baseball happens to be the World Series champion, the Texas Rangers, knocking off the Arizona Diamondbacks to win the Fall Classic. We welcome you into Sports 56 Mornings. They will be a couple of the topics that we'll be diving into today on this Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 edition of the program. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Zach Boyd with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. The Overstock sale continues. Help them clear out their overstock inventory with deals on just about everything. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And the first hour of the program is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware. Another cold morning, but things are going to start to warm up in the Memphis area. Right now it's 33 degrees under clear skies. Later today, the sun will be shining brightly and the temperature will increase to about 61, so that's pretty pleasant. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low near 40, and then tomorrow even nicer with sunshine and a high of 66 to wrap up your work week. As I just mentioned, we'll be talking Grizzlies, we'll talk World Series, Tigers men's basketball back in action tonight with their second and final dress rehearsal before opening up the regular season on Monday. Tonight they will host Lemoyne Owen at FedEx Forum. National Football League, the Titans will play a Thursday night game as they will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers, as Will Levis will get his second start after a victorious opening start to his NFL career where he threw 4 touchdown passes. We will discuss a little NFL as well on the program. Kerry Miller will join us for the final time this baseball season at 7:45 as we put a bow on the Major League Baseball season and the Texas Rangers World Series championship. At 8:05, Ryan Silverfield, Tigers head football coach, will join us to talk Tigers and USF as the Tigers will host the Bulls on Saturday, and then at about 8:25, 8:30 or thereabouts, we'll have the Tiger Football Report as we'll break down the Tigers and the Bulls. And then from 9 to 10, our show becomes the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour. Harold Grader will join us in studio. We'll have our world-famous Pick Six. That's all coming up in the final hour of the program. That's your lineup for today. When we can, we'll squeeze in some calls and certainly some texts on the Sports 56 listener lines at 901-360-8255. You can also send us a message via Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or send it to our website, sportsmemphis.com. How you doing?
I'm good. Good.
Better than the Grizzlies.
I am. Well, I've got the same amount of wins.
True.
As the Grizzlies.
You and me combined, Zach, same amount of wins. There was the news that we all expected pretty much right after the game ended, and the Grizzlies had played their fifth game, unfortunately their fifth loss. The signing of Bismack Biyombo is official. 12-year NBA veteran, 6'8", 255-pounder, whose next game will be his 800th career game. He will join the team for their two-game swing to Portland, which begins tomorrow, which also begins the in-season tournament for what that's worth. But last night, the Jazz hands, 133-109, another team that just went crazy from three, 22 of 43. Not only the amount of threes they hit, but the percentage, 51.2% from downtown for the Jazz. This game was over early.
Yeah, this escalated quickly. That first quarter, holy moly, I was 42 first quarter points, 8 of 10 from three for the Jazz. Like it was, I don't know. I don't even know what in the world was going on there, but that was something to watch that first quarter. And you do that, you're done. Like this team certainly with its current configuration can't overcome that. Like you're just done after one quarter. Would they give up 72 and a half? Was it
79?
79 and a half. I mean, they
it's hard to come back with your full array of players.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't do that type stuff, and it's a struggle. It's a bit of a struggle right now, and boy, teams are just lighting them up from 3-point range. The Grizzlies not lighting it up from 3-point range, and that's a bad combination. Any level of basketball you play it, if the other team is shooting way better from three than you, probably going to lose in today's basketball.
Well, here's how bad it is. The 79 points that they gave up in the first half, most points they've ever given up in the first half. I mean, ever in their history. The 33-point first half deficit tied for the largest halftime deficit in franchise history. They're doing things that even those bad Grizzlies teams haven't done. That's how bad it is. Luke Kennard returned from his concussion. He went 1 of 9. He went 1 of 8 from three. He finally hit a three-pointer. Now, you expect Kennard, who has put together a pretty good resume shooting three-pointers in the NBA, you expect him to get it going eventually, but he certainly didn't have it last night. They were shorthanded once again with no Santi Aldama, and Derrick Rose did not play in this particular game. Taylor Jenkins ended up emptying his bench pretty early in this one. And ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please, Mr. Savoy, Kenneth Lofton Jr., 26 minutes, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 4 of 7 field goals, 1 of 1 from three, was a +5 in a game in which the Grizzlies got humiliated.
First of all, 12 points.
What did I say?
19.
12 points. Sorry, can't read my own writing. Still the same. Kenneth Lofton.
No, that's
Jr.
7 less.
No, still the same. My point about Kenneth Lofton. I'm kidding. I'm tongue-in-cheek here. Cleanup action, obviously. But, look, this is a team right now that is hurting big time. Biyombo will help. I don't know how much he'll help. It's sort of a 20-game experiment to see if Biyombo is kind of the answer right now. Steven Adams isn't walking through that door. You're not getting him this year. Maybe you get Brandon Clark at the end of the year. Biyombo, who takes up space, as I said, 255. He's a thick guy. He can rebound. He can block shots. It will help Jaren Jackson Jr., who has played, unfortunately, at times the 5, and he is not a 5. I think that has been proven. And so he could settle in on his normal 4 position, which he's played both, the 4 and the 5. So maybe it helps Tripp out. But I don't think Biyombo is going to be the answer to all your ills. But as I said, for the next 20 before Ja returns, if he's doing a good job, then the Grizzlies will have to make the decision on whether or not to keep him. And if they do, they're going to have to make a move. Because all these guys under contract, you'll be one over the limit. So you'd have to cut a player or trade a player. So that's something that you hope you're in that situation after the next 20 with Biyombo. And again, will he be ready to go at the beginning? He's got to integrate with these new players, learn the system. Who knows if he's in NBA playing shape? But that's the guy that they have added. He certainly is not being looked at as the savior. This team has to be contemplating some moves to be made, because if not, you're just basically dropping back and you're using your Australian punter to punt it down the field for the season.
Yeah, well, we will see. Hopefully Santi is back soon as well. It's just right now. I mean, again, they are this 5-out offense is not working. Defensively, they are a
mess.
Yeah, I think mess is a good word. I think it's there's just a lot of problems right now. I was looking through stats just to see they are last in the league in offensive rating, which is no surprise. They are 22nd in defensive rating, 29th in field goal percentage, 22nd in three-point percentage. Although they shoot the most, the only team that shoots more threes than them is the team they saw the other night, Dallas. They shoot the second most threes in the league as far as percentage of field goal attempts. And they shoot they're 22nd in percentage from there. 47% of their field goal attempts come from three-point range.
Why?
Last night was well more than that.
Why are you doing that? Obviously, you don't have Ja penetrating, getting to the hole. But this is not a great three-point shooting team.
And
You're settling.
So I was looking at their threes and where they come from. The only place they should be, based on, again, we're 5 games in. These are very small sample sizes. The only place they should be shooting threes from, apparently, is from the left corner. They shoot 54% on left corner threes. Weirdly enough, on the right corner, that drops all the way down to 24%.
That's wild.
I don't know why. And then the above the break threes, which is the ones up top, they shoot 28% out there. So the only place they shoot over 30% from three-point range is in the left corner, where they shoot 54%. It's this is a rough go. It's a rough go right now.
Well, they're the only winless team that remains in the NBA. I mean, it's beyond rough. They are absolutely bad. They're a bad basketball team right now. You mentioned Aldama when he comes back. He's a 7-point per game career scorer. He's going to help. There's no question about it. He's better than some of these wings that they've been using. But it's not like he's going to light it up. You know, Ja's going to be that guy. Can Ja carry a team and get them back into the postseason picture? But the problem is, by the time 25 games roll along, where will the Grizzlies be? That's the biggest question right now.
And one of the reasons, and again, this is such a small sample size, but I was looking at lineups. Mm-hmm. Their best lineup net rating wise, but it is this year, but it's barely been used because, again, this is why when Santi comes back, their best lineup as far as net rating goes has been Smart, Bain, Roddy, Jaren, and Tillman. So Roddy playing at the 3. Now, again, it's barely been used. It's only been used for like 5 or 6 minutes all year. It's funny when you look at their line. They have very few lineups that have been used for more than 5 minutes this year. Talk about mixing and matching. They are doing everything. But when Santi comes back, that lets Roddy play the 3 more, which I would like to see Roddy be able to play that 3 more. But right now, he's got to play the 4 because they don't have that backup 4 necessarily. So he doesn't get to be put in that 3 spot very often. Again, I don't know what the long-term things of that lineup will be. But right now, that lineup has been great when it's been on the floor. So I would just like to see it a little bit more to have a bigger sample size of it. Obviously Taylor's searching for answers, but with Luke Kennard being 1 for 13 from 3-point range on the year, that's certainly, again, you would expect that he's going to figure it out. Like he's one of the best shooters in the league. You would think would come around, but if your offensive system is going to be to shoot a bunch of threes, you're going to need your 3-point shooters. And a team that doesn't have a ton of 3-point shooters, you certainly need your 3-point shooters who are the good ones to make shots. And only having Kennard for 2 games and having him go 1 for 13, well, that's not going to work very well. You're going to need Kennard to be great. You need Bane to be great. You're going to need Marcus Smart to be good. I mean, you're going to need these guys who are supposed to be your 3-point shooters to knock down those shots. But their percentage in the lane, outside the restricted area, but in the paint, they're like shooting in the 30%. Like everything's bad. They're just offensively, it is just bad.
Well, if you expect Biyombo to help out offensively, you're barking up the wrong tree. That's not what his forte is. He's a defensive guy. It will help Jackson, though, and may loosen things up for Jackson offensively. But as far as Bismack himself, he brings the ability to rebound, block shots, play defense, set hard screens, but not score.
No, yeah, he's not. He is not an offensive player. Now, the screening would be that's his best offensive feature, probably, is setting screens, but and offensive rebounding, hopefully. Defensively, he, as it said yesterday, he gives them another rim protector, which they do not have outside of Jaren right now. Anybody that protects the rim, he is a good shot blocker and a good rebounder. So hopefully he helps in those areas. And if you have another rim protector, hopefully that requires less help from guys on the perimeter that's leaving guys open for threes, things like that. Because, the perimeter defense, they just look confused a lot. Like, it seems like guys get lost a lot, and it leads to wide open shots. And, if you're going to give up 22, 23 threes a game, well, you're pretty much done because they're not good enough to make that many threes to keep up.
And they head to Portland, as I mentioned, for 2. Tomorrow night's game is the first of the in-season tournament. Portland won yesterday on the road at Detroit 110-101. I mentioned the Grizzlies are the lone remaining winless team in the NBA. That's because Houston finally got a win. They beat Charlotte 128-119. Elsewhere around the league, there were some surprises. Minnesota over Denver 110-89. They won that game by 21 points. Boston, by the way, scored 155 in a regular season game, not overtime. 155-104 over India. I should say, a regulation game, not a regular season. But Boston beat Indiana 155-104, and Toronto destroyed
that game really
Milwaukee.
wasn't as close as the score would indicate.
No, and Toronto destroyed Milwaukee. That's with Dame. That's with Giannis. 130-111 as those superstars try to get more chemistry between them. But Toronto beat Milwaukee 130-111. But again, the Grizz fall to Utah 133-109. And now off to Portland. But Bismack Biyombo is now official. It is Bismack Biyombo joining the Memphis Grizzlies for their series in Portland. And then they come home to play Miami on Wednesday.
Brad takes the positive, optimistic view of this one. He says, at least it wasn't as bad as the Boston game. Although that's just, Utah, when it was 1,000,000-0 there seemingly in the first quarter, Utah could have made it. If you score 42 in the first and 79 in the first half, they could have got to 155 if they really wanted to, I think.
You thought they'd give them a run for their money right there. But here's the thing, though. Indiana may have got destroyed by Boston, but they're 2-2 on the season. So certainly the Grizzlies, yes, didn't take a worse loss as far as numerically the difference in the game, but 0-5 for the Grizzlies.
Ron texts in, says, new predictions if the Grizzlies look like a bad road team, 5-20, maybe. Talking about the first 25, obviously, with Ja out.
You're 5-20. Ja comes back.
5-20, the season's over.
You're done. It's over. It's absolutely over. You have to do something right now to hang around with the possibility of being a postseason team. I'm not even talking about the playoffs. I'm talking about the play-in.
Kip on YouTube says, can we all admit now that what we're seeing is an indictment of the front office and spreadsheet Jenkins? Doesn't matter who we have out there. The issues we are seeing are a pattern to go back. I mean, you could certainly make a very good argument that what they are doing, their offensive system and things, this team is not set up to run. This team shouldn't be leading the league, or, well, they're second in the league in 3-point attempts.
Right.
Like that. This is not a team set up to shoot that many threes. You certainly, you can't argue that. I mean, but that is the analytics that they want to go by, and they believe that is the way. You either go in the paint or you go to the 3-point line. There's no doubt about it. Again, they're last in offensive rating. They are last in the league in offense right now. So
here's the other
this
analytics.
Is not working.
Here's the other analytics. The lineups that have worked, which haven't been many. When you have Jaren, when you have Smart, and you have Bane. Now, last night was forget about it because he took those guys out. They didn't play the minutes that they normally play. When you are desperate, as they are, to stay relevant for this season, they have to win games. How about leaving those guys in a little bit longer? How about bringing them back onto the court from the bench when they get their rest a little bit quicker? How about those guys playing 40 minutes? These are 22, 23, 24-year-old guys. God forbid they play 35 or more minutes. Play these guys. Play these guys until they are so tired that they're going to sleep incredibly well that night, because they have to do it right now. Desperate times bring about desperate measures. And your guys, I think, playing, I'm not saying 48 minutes, but playing 40 minutes if you have to win a game, they need to play. Because the bench stinks. Those guys coming in stink. And you have signed those guys. So as much positive as Zach Kleiman and that front office deserves for a lot of the moves they made, they've also struck out really seemingly the last couple of years with the draft. Yes, the jury's still out. I'm going to keep hearing that. LaRavia, he came in the game because they ended up using the entire bench. But for a while there, he wasn't playing. And earlier in the year, he was coming off the bench. Conchar didn't play at all the first game. Now they have to use Conchar. These guys are they're not even at times serviceable.
Well, the LaRavia, it was obvious that LaRavia, if Kennard is healthy, that's Kennard's spot. Now, they were using LaRavia when Kennard was out. Again, neither one of them has been able to make a shot, so it's useless for both of them until somebody starts making shots. But
I would use Vince Williams over LaRavia any day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Well, good luck. But it's funny looking at lineups, good, because it's such small sample sizes on a year. But the Grizzlies lineup of where did it go? This is the Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, David Roddy lineup. They've used that lineup for 5 minutes this year. It has a net rating of minus 97.8.
Jeez.
Their defensive rating is 177.8. So that lineup give up 177 points per 100 possessions.
And think about this. 2 of those 5 players have won NBA Defensive Player of the Year awards, right? Contemplate that for a second. 2 of the 5 guys have been named at one time, Jackson last year, the best defensive player in the league. Tells you how bad Kennard is defensively, and Roddy's not great either.
Well, it's also, again, it's 5 minutes.
I know. I know.
It's just funny to look at some of these things because of the small sample sizes that you have at this point. But the Smart, Jackson, Tillman, Bain, Roddy lineup, again, that's only been used for 5 minutes this year.
Right. But those numbers are encouraging.
They have a net rating of, that net rating is plus 62.1. That offensive rating is 145.5. Defensive rating of 83.3. They've only got four lineups that have been used for more than 10 minutes on the season. That's amazing to think. There's only 4 lineups that have been used for more than 10 minutes on the season.
By the way, raise your hand if you're sick of analytics. My hand is raised. I'm touching the roof right now. All right, we need to take a timeout. When we come back, we lost a legend yesterday in the game of basketball. We'll talk a little bit about Bob Knight and the World Series champion, Texas Rangers, what they did, especially as a road team. We will discuss that. More on the World Series a little bit later on in the hour when we're joined by Kerry Miller. Folks, great option for lunch or for dinner. If you're tailgating, any sporting event, any get-together, family reunions, graduation parties, birthdays, anniversaries, it's the Crazy Coop for the best chicken wings in the area. And I mean the best. What makes them the best? The seasonings, right? 27 different flavors that you can get of hot wings from the Crazy Coop, like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick to it, the mango habanero, the sweet taste of mango followed by the heat, or the sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. You can go really hot if you want. The Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or the Crazy Suicide. And if you can't take the heat, how about the 4-cheese roasted garlic or the barbecue bacon bourbon? Just some of the great seasonings that you can get on your hot wings. Whether it be those delicious whole wings or party wings, the boneless wings, also those big juicy chicken tenders. You can get the crazy packs as well at the Crazy Coop. 2 locations, 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten. That's in Bartlett. And the Crazy Coop Express, not far from us, at 1315 Ridgeway. That is off Poplar Avenue. At the Bartlett location, you get the full menu, the delicious catfish sandwiches, the juicy half-pound burgers, all the great sides like the fried okra, the green tomatoes, the fried dill pickles. It's all available for you at the Crazy Coop. You've tried the rest. Try the best now. They're open 7 days a week from 11 until 9. You can order online, pick up, or have DoorDash or any of the other services delivered to your home or office. They will cater your event, as I mentioned. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook. It is the Crazy Coop for the best hot wings in town. 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten. And the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
How long has it been since you heard the term being overstocked? Well, it's happened at Family Leisure. Yep. That means you get the savings, like select patio sets that are up to 50% off. If you need a play gym, you're in luck because they're also overstocked and start at under $2,000. Pool tables and game room items up to $700 off of in-stock items. Saunas, massage chairs, arcades, even theater seating. Special financing is available with free delivery. Family Leisure is extending sale pricing on all in-stock hot tubs and swim spas. And if you need supplies to close up your pool for the winter, Family Leisure has them up to 30% off. It's been a while since you've heard of an overstock sale, but Family Leisure is right in the middle of one. Huge deals and a huge overstocked inventory. That means great savings for you. It's happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
It's Pro Time at Lowe's. Get big savings and rewards during Provember. Right now, buy one exclusive DeWalt 20-volt Max XR Power Detect 2-tool combo kit. Get one select Power Detect Bear tool free. That's up to a $249 value. And there's more. Save $200 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding miter saw. Because Lowe's knows tools, Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 11/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wolo said hello.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps, fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
When the weather gets better, I found a new place to really soak it in. It's the patio at the commissary in Collierville. We all love the delicious Memphis-style barbecues. You can begin your barbecue fest with some great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos. Oh, those smoked chicken wings, they're terrific too. Then dig into the ribs or the barbecue shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich. A big sandwich, or you can get it on a plate. You've got choice, and you've got choice in places. Don't forget the Germantown commissary as well. Comes with beans and slaw, deviled eggs they're famous for. And Brad, you can even order by the pound, a 6-pack or an 8-pack or even a 12-pack. The Boss Man salad, the chicken plate, the barbecue shrimp. There's something for everybody, and those great desserts. The best icebox lemon pie anywhere. Or my favorite, the banana pudding. Check out the patio, TVs for sports, and music on the weekends. You love the commissary.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at the corner of White Station and Quince. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
I got a little change in my pocket going jingle.
If you missed the news last night, Bob Knight has passed away at the age of 83. Legendary coach in the world of college basketball, 3 national titles at Indiana. Then he would go on to coach at Texas Tech. He's an Army guy. Obviously, Mike Krzyzewski worked under him and is kind of a disciple. And Krzyzewski considered by many as the greatest college basketball coach, but certainly Bob Knight is in that conversation. 11 Big Ten titles, a different approach to the game, kind of old school, and then certainly at times going beyond what modern, certainly basketball coaches and how they would treat their athletes. But Bob Knight was one of a kind, and certainly a legend, has passed away.
Yeah, there's no doubt he is one of the great coaches, big legends of the game. No doubt he crossed the line at times, which of course got him into trouble. But guy who obviously did not care what others thought or at any point would say whatever he wanted to say. But the results on the court, those cannot be argued. The man was a fantastic coach.
Yeah, there's not too many coaches like that anymore. There's still some old school coaches that really don't give a damn. Jim Harbaugh is an old school coach, even though he's not old. He's an old school coach because he still has that kind of mentality. It's my way or the highway. I don't care what anybody else thinks, and you have to have thick skin to be a coach. Bob Knight certainly had that. He had his detractors, but he had a lot of fans, and they're certainly mourning his passing, again, at the age of 83. Bob Knight, 3 national titles at Indiana, has passed away. World Series title goes to the Texas Rangers. They went into the season 50-1 underdogs to win it all, and they win it all. Last night they beat Arizona 5-0. They end up going 11-0 on the road in the postseason, which is bonkers. Bruce Bochy wins his 4th World Series title as a manager, 3 with San Francisco. He comes out of retirement to manage Texas, and they win it. Corey Seager wins his 2nd World Series MVP, and that goes along with his MVP that he won with the Dodgers, now does it for the Rangers. The Rangers were getting no hit by Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen going into the 7th inning were being no hit. Corey Seager broke up the no-hitter. They were able to score a run in that inning, and then they added 4 in the 9th to put it away for all intents and purposes. Marcus Semien with a 2-run home run, but what Texas did on the road, they deserved to win the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, 11-0 is insane, quite frankly, to do that in a postseason. That offense, even with Garcia going out, just continues to mash. They got Semien going just in time in the World Series. He had struggled for most of the playoffs, but he got going in the World Series. Seager was great, and they just kept on hitting. And Nathan Eovaldi is fantastic in the postseason. That dude is a great postseason pitcher, and he did his thing again. Their bullpen, which was really a weakness all year in the postseason, became amazing suddenly, somehow. Bruce Bochy pushed all the right buttons, and I finally got one right picking against the Diamondbacks. I thought the Rangers were the better team, but I thought everybody was better than the Diamondbacks. Finally, and I think just eventually, the Diamondbacks, it's an amazing run they put together, but they just, again, the Rangers are just playing out of their minds.
I thought the key to last night's win, and again, if Arizona was able to win, they'd still have to go to Arlington and win twice to win the World Series, so the odds were against them. But I thought the key last night was Eovaldi, who got in trouble, it seemed like, every single inning. Arizona threatened every inning he was out there, but he was able to bear down and get that final out and come out of it unscathed. They had base runners every single inning, and they could not produce against Eovaldi.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. In those types of situations, you can't miss those opportunities. You've got to cash those in, and Texas did that. That's what Texas, you look at all of the 2-out runs they scored in these last couple of games. Like, when you gave them a crack, they would take advantage of it. And they did it, the 9th inning last night again, to stretch that out. Paul Sewald, rough series for him. He has been really good, but man, oh man, game 1, he gives up the home run to Seager in the bottom of the 9th to blow that save, and then last night they bring him into the 1-0 game. He gives up 4 runs in the 9th. It was a rough World Series for Paul Sewald.
So this is a consensus story of odds for next year's World Series. ESPN took a bunch of the books who have already put out the odds for next year and kind of came with down to a consensus. And the Braves are the favorites for next year at 13-2. Now, they put this together with a caveat. Let's see where Shohei Ohtani ends up. So right now, we don't know what his situation is. But right now, not knowing what will happen with Shohei Ohtani, Braves the favorite at 13-2. The normal cast of characters: Dodgers 7-1, Astros 9-1, Rangers 9-1 to repeat, Phillies 10-1, Rays, Yankees 15-1. Then you have the Blue Jays, the Orioles, the Padres all at 16-1. You have to go down to 25-1 before you see the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I mean, again, they barely made the postseason this year. Certainly put together a great run, but not sure that's a repeatable thing. And they're not a team that's going to go out and spend a bunch of money, all that type of stuff. The Rangers, it's amazing. I mean, the big offseason acquisition of Jacob deGrom, and he barely pitches, and you still end up winning the World Series. That's an amazing thing to be able to overcome your big offseason acquisition not being able to play for most of the year.
Yeah, you don't get deGrom, and then Scherzer was a shell of himself, but the 2 former Mets pitchers end up getting rings with the Texas Rangers. Memphis Tigers will be back on the hardwood tonight at FedEx Forum. They will conclude their exhibition slate as they'll take on Lemoyne Owen at 7 o'clock. The Tigers coming off a 106-49 win over Lane College. It does appear, at least through his social media posts, that Javon Quinterly may be able to go tonight, which will be a good sign for the Tigers, expected to be their starting point guard. Tigers will open up the regular season on Monday when they host Jackson State, and they're coached by a former NBA player in Mo Williams. But tonight, Lemoyne Owen over at FedEx Forum, exhibition game number 2 before the Tigers play for keeps next week.
Raider Corey texted on Bob Knight. He says, Bob Knight was a great coach, well-respected on the court, but he wasn't a person I respected. In my opinion, when most people think of Knight, especially my age group, his shenanigans overshadow his 3 national titles, which is unfortunate. With that said, he was a legend in college basketball.
See, I like that because I can see where folks respect the coach as far as being able to manage games, schemes, X's and O's, that push the right buttons, yet not respect the guy as a human being. That's perfectly fair. Perfectly fair.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty accurate.
You can separate the two.
The if you're not one of the, if you're kind of in that 80s group, kind of growing up in the 80s, in that time, like you remember more of probably the bad stuff of Bob Knight than the good stuff, because you don't remember the undefeated team, those type of things. Like and that's when he got himself into trouble.
Now you talk to the Quinn Buckners of the world, the Scott Mays of the world, guys that played for him. Certainly Isaiah, those guys. I mean, they have. All it is respect for Bob Knight, and that's what you'll hear today. Is a lot of people singing the praises, but certainly as he got older, he became a curmudgeon. Let's be honest with you. And it reminds me a lot of what happened with Woody Hayes at Ohio State. Again, you get older, it doesn't happen to everybody. You want to bow out gracefully. It just wasn't the case. I mean, he had success at Texas Tech as well. They weren't anything as a program, and that guy had them playing extremely well. But I could see where you can separate the two Bob Knights, the Bob Knight, the coach, and the Bob human being. All right, we need to take a timeout.
This side of the program is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station, right there in that little shopping center up in the corner. That's where you're going to find East Memphis Ace Hardware. That's where you're going to find all kinds of different things, whatever it is you need for that project around the house. Well, the folks at East Memphis Ace are there to help. They not only have the supplies, but they have a great staff to help you find those supplies and figure out exactly what it is that you might need to get that project done. They're a platinum dealer for the Big Green Egg, which means they've got all the eggs, all the egg accessories as well, and so much more that you'll find at East Memphis Ace Hardware, corner of White Station and Quince.
Wake Up the Kids. Ryan Silverfield, Tigers head football coach, will join us at 8:05. But before that, in our final segment here in hour number 1, for the final time this Major League Baseball season, we'll be joined by the Bleacher Report's Kerry Miller. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Memphis football is home Saturday, November 4th at 2 o'clock for a homecoming against South Florida. Enjoy the pregame concert, mechanical bull riding, and Tiger tailgate on Tiger Lane before the game. Tickets start at just $20 as Memphis football continues to work toward a berth in the American Championship game. Be at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium Saturday, November 4th at 2. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
Roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Basketball's back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. And with DraftKings parlays, everybody's got a shot at even bigger basketball wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, code HERD, H-E-R-D. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code HERD, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, and Louisiana. 21 plus. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at the corner of White Station and Quince. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
It has been a delight to get the perspective of the Bleacher Report's Kerry Miller all season long, talking Major League Baseball. And now it comes to an end as the season is wrapped up last night by the Texas Rangers and the improbable World Series win. 50-1 odds, as I said before the season started, to win the World Series. They get it done, and they do it in convincing fashion, winning 4-1. So without further ado, our buddy Kerry Miller from Bleacher Report, who covers Major League Baseball. You can follow him on Twitter at Terrence James. What a tremendous performance, Kerry, by Texas, and to go 11-0 on the road in the postseason, unheard of.
Yeah, it's insane. It has to be the most just preposterous postseason run, like in any professional sport, right? No, but you don't go 11-0 on the. I mean, certainly you can't in football, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
But yeah, it just they were inevitable. It really felt like, and it's funny. I don't know how many times throughout the course of the season, when I was on with you guys, I was saying that I'm not saying I picked Texas to win it all. I changed my mind a whole bunch of times. I know in May I was all about the Rangers. After the trade deadline, when they added Max Scherzer and Jordan Montgomery, I was like, I think they might be the best team. And then I just continually forgot about it until they went out and won the World Series.
And then, I mean, even in this World Series, when they lose Adolis Garcia, like, okay, maybe this is going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. But then Marcus Semien starts hitting. And it's like there's enough guys and then the pitching staff, we talked about it throughout this postseason. I'm not sure what happened with the bullpen, but they sprinkled some fairy dust on them or something, and they were incredible through the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, once it gets to the playoffs, you really only need 3 relievers you can trust, but we didn't even know if Texas had one. I still don't know where Josh Spores came from all of a sudden, posting a sub-1 ERA. They used Aroldis Chapman. Didn't seem like they ever trusted him, with good reason. But just Jose Leclerc just being that guy, like basically turning into their version of Mariano Rivera, was unheard of. I think heading into the postseason, we weren't sure if they were going to pick up his, I think it's a $10 million club option for next season, and now that would be absolutely insane for them not to do that after the run he had for them.
I thought Leclerc was great. Every time, as you mentioned, with Chapman getting the ball, I thought, something bad could happen. Here comes a walk, and then he would get a double play grounder, or he'd get a big strikeout. So Chapman kind of flashing a little bit of what we saw early in his career. But really the common denominator is Bruce Bochy at the controls. They got him out of retirement. He comes to Texas, 3 World Series titles in San Francisco. There's just something magical about what this guy does.
Yeah, he has a sub-500 regular season record in his career. But when he gets to the postseason, he's magic. I think he's made the World Series 5 out of 9 postseasons in his career. Obviously, he's won 4 of those 5. It's just something about October. I don't know what influence he has in that clubhouse that just gets guys relaxed and having fun, but it certainly worked for those even-year Giants. And,
yes.
The perfect formula they needed this year. He brought a little creed into the formula. I don't know what that was about, but everybody was getting higher, or whatever the hit Creed song was.
Oh, they were getting higher, yeah.
What were they said he's won 14 of his last 15 postseason series now?
That's pretty good. I'd take that.
I mean, there's no, that's virtually impossible. Like, baseball's too weird for one person, one manager to have that type of success.
Yeah, that's the inverse of the 18-game losing streak the Twins were on, right? It's just it defies all logic. It's supposed to be coin flips across the board, but I guess eventually you flip a coin enough times, you will get 14 out of 15 heads.
And then you look at the staff, the starters. Evaldi, you know what you were getting with Evaldi. He's become a big-time postseason pitcher. But you went out and you got some veterans, and it didn't work out with DeGrom with injuries, and Scherzer mostly didn't work out, although we saw him pitch in the postseason. Just Montgomery, obviously, was kind of heaven sent, a guy who pitched with the Cardinals. It just worked out somehow with that staff that is not on paper something that you fear.
Yeah, it's funny when I was discussing with my editor what the options for angles last night. He was like, well, what if we go with, Texas showed the blueprint, to win a World Series? I'm like, if you have the ability to go sign 8 different 8-figure salaried starting pitchers, sure, that's your blueprint. But that's what Texas did. I mean, John Gray was so clutch out of the bullpen in Game 1, and I think it was Game 3, maybe Game 4. It was Game 3 because it was in relief of Scherzer. Went 3 strong innings. He's huge in Game 1. Like, that's a $15 million starting pitcher just pitching the 4th through 6th innings for you casually. Like, that's not many teams are able to pull that off.
What's your feelings? I brought this up yesterday, and then I saw there were some articles about this, but Arizona, of course, in Game 4, going with the bullpen game. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, I get it. Like, this is a world we live in, but really, in a World Series game, in that key of a game, when you're down, a bullpen game, you don't have anybody who can really trot out there as a starting pitcher?
Yeah, I know that's we're supposed to just say those are the times we're living in, but how did you make it through the season without a 4th starter? Like, you have Zach Davies somewhere. I don't think he's out with Tommy John surgery. He could have had some guy on the roster who can, give you 3-4 innings. You don't have to go with Joe Mantiply out of the bullpen. I guess because Tampa Bay almost won a World Series doing it 3 years ago, that kind of normalized it. We're more okay with it, but yeah, I did see Manfred said something about, wanting to look into it, maybe hoping to get rid of it. I'm like, well, how can you force a starter to go a certain number of innings? That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. There's no rule there's no way you can make a rule about it. It's just it's just I don't know. It just seems so weird. And I mean, I get it in the middle of a season, like you're trying to give a starter an extra day's rest. Maybe you've had doubleheader or something like that. But it just seems like in the World Series, like you wouldn't need to have a bullpen game.
Yeah, it's like the the rest dilemma in the NBA. Guys taking days off. They don't skip postseason games. They're giving it their full go. So
Exactly.
I don't know why we're like that with baseball.
Kerry Miller joining us, covers Major League Baseball for Bleacher Report. You can follow him on Twitter at Carrance James. If he hadn't already cemented himself as a clutch postseason player, having won a World Series MVP with the Dodgers, oh boy, Corey Seager to do what he has done, to win MVPs of World Series in both leagues, phenomenal.
Yeah, and obviously the home run in Game 1 last night, breaking up the no-hitter. I mean, I was kind of joking a bit that after all the innings that Eovaldi had to get through, Arizona left like 11 runners on base in the first 6 innings. I was like, Texas is going to get one hit. It's going to be a Corey Seager solo home run, and they're going to win the game. Like, it just feels like that's the way they're going. And of course, he was the one who broke up the no-hitter, broke the dam, and then they started scoring runs. It's just, he was their clutch guy. And certainly it was Garcia in the ALCS, like you mentioned. Losing him in Game 3 really could have been a change in the tide in Arizona's favor. But yeah, just having Seager there and being that, I don't know where the Cookie Monster nickname came from, but he was gobbling up runs for them. That's for sure.
You wonder. You mentioned like if he doesn't hit the home run in Game 1, if they lose that game, then where does the series go? I mean that game, just the way they win that game was such a emotional victory that you want. If you don't do that, if you just go quietly in the ninth, where does the series go?
Yeah, especially with the way that Arizona then just ran rampant through Game 2. I mean, that would have been. They would have had to follow the same formula that they did in the ALCS and just win every road game and somehow win one at home for a change in Game 6 or 7. But yeah, they were special. It already feels like almost feels like they're going to repeat. Not that, I mean, we always feel that way after a championship, right? It's like, oh, this team's going to be back again next year. But DeGrom should be back from Tommy John in August. They're still going to have Scherzer. They're still going to have Eovaldi and like that entire lineup. If they just get one more reliever, if they happen to get Josh Hader, oh my God, they're going to be the overwhelming favorite heading into next season.
Texas may very well have sustaining power. I'm not so sure about Arizona. What do you see in their immediate future?
Yeah, I mean, they're ahead of schedule, right? Nobody expected them to make it this far. I was actually looking back at my, obviously this morning we had our way too early 2024 World Series previews, whatever, go out. I looked at mine from last year. I had Arizona winning 86 games.
Did you?
I actually overestimated what they would do in the regular season, and then they just went into some magical postseason run. But I feel like, they're not losing really anything. So, they're going to have that core back. They're going to need to add at least one starting pitcher to get through. But what Brandon Pfaadt did this October, if he can be that guy next season, because he was like a 5.5 ERA guy most of the regular season. They were really Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen and pray for rain almost. If he's that, quality third guy, they're obviously still going to have Corbin Carroll, Gabriel Moreno. I mean, they're going to be good. Nobody's going to pick them to finish ahead of the Dodgers in the NL West, but they could have some staying power.
We talk about the Rangers in that lineup, and there's so many names. The guy who went to college across the state from us over at Tennessee, Evan Carter, that dude's going to be a stud.
Yes, I know Wander Franco. Not that we discuss him anymore at the moment, but he was in the majors for like 71 games when he signed his huge contract. Michael Harris was in the majors for 70 games when he signed his huge contract. Evan Carter played, 22 games, and he should probably be a $100 million player if they want to sign him to a long-term extension right now. That could make history this offseason if they decide to do that.
All right, crystal ball real quick here in our final moments. What do you see for Shohei Ohtani?
I've felt for a full calendar year it's going to be the Dodgers. It's going to be $500 million, and I don't think that's changed. The Dodgers, I don't want to say salary cap because there's no such thing in baseball, but it feels like they have about $150 million in cap room to play with all the money they've got coming off the books. So I think they're going to get Shohei and quite a few other of the top free agents out there. And just I don't know if it's really desperation out of losing in the NLDS back-to-back years, but they're going to go hard in free agency.
There's a few managerial openings out there, but the Astros in particular, since Dusty is done managing, he still wants to stay in baseball. Do you see an heir apparent? Is there an obvious one out there?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we've been talking about Craig Counsell to the Mets for forever. I guess his contract officially expired like 36 hours ago. So he's out there. He's available. I don't know where he's going to end up. Maybe he goes to Houston. And I still think we might see Buck Showalter. If he still wants to manage, he could end up with Houston or with the Angels. But that's now that we're in the off season, right? It's officially off season for all 30 teams. Now I can start focusing on stuff like that.
Winter meetings are just around the corner, right? I thought Counsell would end up with the Mets, though. Didn't he meet with the Mets?
Yeah, that's what's been the rumor for a while. I kind of thought they might sign him like at 12:01 on November 1st.
Exactly,
but that didn't happen.
Is Joe Madden done, you think?
I'm not. Honestly, don't know how old he is, but I probably, if he didn't manage this year, I mean, there were certainly openings out there, but he's not taking the Angels' job. I know that much.
Exactly.
But yeah, he could be a candidate for the Mets. I don't know. I mean, certainly Steve Cohen's going to go kind of for whatever the best option is. Certainly no expense spared.
Exactly.
After, like the Rangers winning the World Series with a retired 3-time World Series manager. I don't know why they wouldn't consider Joe Madden.
Well, lots of things that will happen in the offseason. Of course, Kerry will have you covered at Bleacher Report. God willing, and you're still interested, we'd love to have you back again next season. We promise we'll have a nice open for you with your choice of music. So think about that. Again, knock on wood, everybody's good and in the same position. We really like what you bring to the table, Kerry. Thank you so much, and we appreciate it.
You got it. Take care, guys.
You as well. Kerry Miller from Bleacher Report, who joined us all year long talking Major League Baseball. When we come back, we open up Hour 2 with the head football coach of the University of Memphis, Ryan Silverfield. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
3 little words no parent wants to hear.
My tummy hurts.
And it always seems to happen at the worst times. Like in the middle of the morning rush, when you still have homework to check and lunches to pack, and of course, you're already late for work. Luckily, there's Pepto Kids. Pepto Kids gummies help relieve occasional stomach upsets, turning those 3 words into these 3 words.
I feel better.
Bad time for stomach upsets? Good time for Pepto Kids gummies. Fast support for little tummies.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. They're still working with this vehicle that flipped earlier on Holmes Road, just west of Horn Lake Road. It remains very slow go from an earlier wreck we had on 40 westbound at Sycamore View Road. As a matter of fact, it's crawling between Germantown Parkway and Sycamore View Road going westbound on I-40. Give yourself extra time over there on that side of town. Hey, get rid of that old junk car right now by calling George's Cash for Junk Cars here in the Memphis area. Call 502-7750. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of its dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:05 the time, hour number 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Zach Boyd with you on this Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. We are in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, their overstock sale continues at 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. As you get set to begin your Thursday morning, 32 degrees. We're at the freezing mark right now, although the sun is shining, but it will warm up with a high expected to be about 61 today. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low near 40. Then tomorrow, even nicer, sunny with a high of 66 degrees. Second hour of the program brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. I'll tell you more about them a little bit later on in the hour. We have the Tiger football report coming up. Hour 3, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour. But right now, it is time to talk to Coach Silverfield.
It's time to talk Memphis Tigers football. It's Sports 56 Mornings weekly visit with Tigers head coach Ryan Silverfield. Brought to you by ATC Fitness with 18 locations in Memphis and the Mid-South. Now, here's Coach Silverfield with Greg and Eli.
The 6-2 Tigers will host the University of South Florida on Saturday, homecoming at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. He is the coach of the Tigers, Ryan Silverfield, who you can follow on Twitter at @rsilverfield. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Great. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing good, doing really well. So I wanted to ask you about that last drive by Seth Hennigan. Less than a minute. It really wasn't a 2-minute drive. It was a 1-minute drive. As far as last minute, 2-minute drives go in your career that you've witnessed, how good was that one?
Well, you know what I appreciated about that is if you've been in this game long enough, you've been on both sides of the ball with them, right? And even in my, I guess, I wouldn't say short time at Memphis, in my long time at Memphis, I've seen it both. But look, just the calm, cool collectedness of the entire group was that was phenomenal. And just the way to go out down there and execute. it was a lot of fun and a meaningful away conference game that are hard to come by. And the way the game unraveled, I think it just meant like, okay, we got this handled. And so it's going to be up there. Obviously, one of those you never forget, but you got a lot to learn from it because of the way the second half went. But just so pleased with the guys' resiliency and finding a way. I say it every week, guys. Find a way to win the football game, whatever it looks like. And we've been on both sides of it, but just proud of the final outcome.
When a game goes that way and you've got the big lead and then suddenly like they score that last touchdown and now you're trailing, do you have to say anything, like kind of calm everybody down, like ease the shock a little bit, or do they understand, hey, this is just the next drive, we got to go do this?
Yeah, and so good question, because we talk about it all the time, and I've mentioned it even the last few weeks, and we're seeing it more. I don't know if we're seeing it more now in college football, or it's just with social media, all these other things that are occurring in the college football realm, right? You're seeing the momentum of games, and I keep going back to, right, where I don't mean to talk about Colorado-Stanford game, but like that was a 29-point lead at halftime, and Stanford wasn't even touching the 50-yard line. We knew how explosive North Texas offense was. Momentum is real in college football. I've been saying that. That doesn't mean our guys relaxed. That doesn't mean our guys lost focus. We just didn't execute, right? I mean, we had drop passes in the third and fourth quarter that could have been critical, that may have made a complete difference in the game, and maybe you win by 2 scores. But on that, when they score, right, you're obviously, as a coach, you're livid, you're angry, you're feeling all sorts of emotions. But at that point, you cannot let that show. You just got to say, okay, now you got to go to the next unit that's up. And at that point, right, kickoff return, and then offense, and say, okay, here's what we got to do. And, I talk about it all the time, situational football. And we whether it's through spring ball, through training camp, and into the season, we practice situations all the time. And every week, we practice what we call a 2-minute situation. Right? Greg just said it was a 1-minute situation. Yeah, 46 seconds, 2 timeouts. You got to go 65 yards and figure out a way to get 6 points on the board. And we had practiced a 42-second, 2 timeouts, so very similar to that with the time and the timeouts on Wednesday, but we needed a field goal, and we had to go at that point a little bit longer in length. So, I think you put those guys in the situation throughout the weeks. It just so happened to be very similar. And the guys, okay, Wednesday practice, period 7, here we go. And credit to them for having the result to go get it done.
Well, one thing is the coaching staff. You guys are paid to be in that situation. If you fall down, to get your team ready to go, to try to win it, which is exactly what happened. So that's not a surprise. I'm right there on the sidelines. What really impressed me was that the players didn't get down on themselves. I didn't see a lot of heads hanging low there and just like cussing and what. They were not. They were focused on trying to still win the game, knowing that they had time to play. You don't see that a lot from young athletes. When they get into that situation, they're pretty much toast. And that's I think a lot to say about those young athletes out there, but also the coaching staff, how you have them ready for every situation.
Well, I think that's important. That's one of those things you hear and we've talked about it on the show before, guys. Like, we talk about culture, and every coach, every CEO uses that word, and it's a popular buzzword. But what does that really mean? I think you get a lot of feel for just looking at the demeanor of the sideline, right? Or guys fighting. We see it on, you turn on a game on a Saturday, and you'll see guys bickering at each other on the sideline or yelling at the coaches. Look, we're a family, so it doesn't mean we're perfect. We yell, we bicker, we do all those things like any other family of 200 people. But reality is our guys are bought in, and they understand, and they care, and they're focused. And, all anybody on the outside can ever see is, well, if you win the game, cool, then you're doing a good job. If you lose the game, then there must be a terrible culture. They must not care. They must not be bought in. And what I appreciate, Greg, is at least you being on the sideline, being on the plane with the guys, seeing them, interacting with them, like, okay, this is a different type of group. And that's what I've been saying all along. And obviously the country will only know what it is by wins and losses. And I understand that's our job to win football games. That's 1,000% my job to do that and graduate our student athletes. But I'm very proud of the fact that the guys, okay, this is what we got to do. Let's not hang our heads. Let's go swing. Do we get frustrated? Sure. Do we get angry? Sure. I mean, emotions of any program. You're supposed to do those things, but when it comes time to nut cutting time, and you find a way to go grind this thing out and find a way to win a football game, that's what you got to be pleased with.
The previous drive when you went for the fourth down, can you kind of take us through that how's that play out? Like conversations, what are the conversations that are going on about pinning them deep versus going for it, all of those type things to result in the decision you end up making?
Yeah, you look at right in the whole second half, there's a lot of those, right? 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, go for it, punt. On a couple of them, right, on one of the 3rd and 1s, we hand the ball off. Thought we had a decent play call, and obviously, certainly we got to be better with the play calls if it's not working. But we didn't execute, right, and we got knocked back a half a yard, and so we punted the ball away. And then the next situation, 3rd and 1, drop pass, and then we said, okay, well, 4th and 1, we knew what they did last time to us when we tried to run the ball in this situation. We felt like field position-wise, it was comfortable to go for it. We felt we knew our defense needed a little assistance because at that point we were having troubles to get off the field, and we decided to go for it. And again, another drop pass, right? And so, you run up the middle. Oh, why you run up the middle again? You throw a pass. Why are you throwing a pass? So we try to be creative with our play calling and put our guys in situations that we practice all week. And I think you look at it with 2 drop passes on. You convert one of those. Maybe it's a different deal. You keep the clock running, you get the chance to keep the change going instead. We didn't. And so we constantly talk. I talk to the defensive staff. Okay, hey, guys, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive here. Or, hey, how we feel like we can stop them. And you go into that. It's no different, right? Second half of UAB, our defense stepped up, so I felt more comfortable. Okay, we can punt this thing away, and we're going to go play great defense, right? In this North Texas game, there's situations where, okay, are we better off to pin them back, or do we need to, try to steal first down and keep the clock rolling?
Saturday, you'll face South Florida, and very much like the last couple of weeks in Birmingham against UAB and at North Texas, you're playing a team that has all the ability to score. They have struggled defensively, but this is the fastest team you'll face. The unbelievable tempo that Alex Golish has with that offense certainly can give teams fits. How have you been preparing to go up against a team that likes to run a lot of plays with their offense?
Yeah, they are the third fastest tempo team in all of college football. Like I said earlier in the press conference this week, is anybody that studies that team out in Orange, out east of our state, they'll realize it's a very similar type of offense. In fact, that's where Coach Golish came from. And I don't know if you can replicate it in practice. I mean, literally it is the ball is put down and they're already lined up in a formation and they got the play. I mean, it's as soon as that ball hits, the play is already called for the next one. So how do you replicate it? You go as fast as you can. You try to get them looks. You work on tempo drills. We're seeing quite often that teams' defenses aren't set and the ball is snapped and, they're handing it off and all of a sudden they go for 30 yards because the defense is still looking at the sideline for the call, or they get the call, but they're trying to, wait, where's the number 2 wide receiver in this formation so I can get lined up off of him? Or wait a second, this is an unusual deal. Then next thing you know, then it's a quarterback run. Then and that's how they take advantage of you. I mean, one, they're Florida guys, so there's a lot of speed and talent. They've always had. You look at their defense. I know we're talking about their fast-paced offense, but they got size and speed. And I think you look at what happened in that first half versus Alabama. They beat the living crap out of Alabama, and you say, well, how is that even possible? Well, and I'm going to remind everybody, and I don't mind, I'm not going to pull Dabo Swinney, but this is a different day and age. They're able to bring in 30 players in the transfer portal. So the one-win South Florida team, it's not the same team, right? When you have 60% new players, it is not the same. In fact, they are significantly better. They're, Memphis should always have more talent. Why? If they've got twice as much money to spend on their players, why should we have more talent? People aren't coming here because of my charming good looks and all those things. But all that being said, look, they're very talented. They're capable, and I think what we're seeing throughout this conference and this new conference, and they're an old opponent, is everybody's got talent. Everybody's got the capabilities. We watched what Rice was able to do to Tulane. Tulane came back and found a way to win that game when Rice took the lead at the very end. And we're just saying, okay, there's not a lot of difference between these teams and talent levels. You got to go out and coach and execute. But man, this South Florida team, you watch them on film, you sit there and say, okay, they are very, very, very capable. And like, I thank our conference again for having us an opponent that's coming off their bye week. Coach Gola admitted in his press conference they spent last week an extra week preparing for Memphis. So they've had their players talked about after practice yesterday. They've had it's been nice to be able to work on a game plan for Memphis for a couple weeks now. So we've got to be ready to go out there and handle our own business. But we're facing a very, very, very talented team.
I'm not sure how many people or certainly how many players are still remaining, and even staff-wise, but can you draw anything from the 2020 game against UCF and going against this offense and that speed?
Yeah, it'd be me and one other person in the room talking. No, I think there's maybe a handful of staff members, but we every week, right? We've seen some tempo offense. We saw North Texas play, but 2020 seems like moons ago, and at least we're not getting COVID tested before the game. Knock on wood, we're not planning on it. But you kind of show them. You can show them a television copy. You can talk to other coaches. There's nothing that replicates it. It's just like the triple option of Navy. Like, you can talk about it, you can do all those things until it's live bullets at 2:02 in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. That's when you're really going to get a feel. But we're doing everything we can, prepping. I mean, I promise you, I've faced it. We've seen it. You've just got to be ready for it. And there's no. All you can do is continue to practice, and hope that come Saturday when your defense is out there, they get a chance to get some 3-and-outs, because that's the key, right? If you allow them to 10 plays of drive and it's boom, 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 marching down the field, and you look up and they've scored, that's really tough. If you can go out there and they're trying to play fast, they go 3-and-out, and then you put their defense in a poor situation because they just got off the field 4 minutes ago, it gives you a chance to go out there and execute, and that's what we're seeing in some of their games.
This is when you would love to be able to shuffle in defensive linemen, keep them fresh, but the only time you're substituting is if they substitute on offense, because you won't have the time if they're not substituting anybody. So I'm not sure if they try to keep the same personnel on the field throughout these drives, but I think that'll be key to keep people fresh.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you've got, when they sub, you've got a sub, and I know that sounds, that's rocket science, but that's with a team like this, you have to, because you can't waste an opportunity to go out there and not get it done, and that's the key. Is right, they shuffle their wide receivers, but only when it is a ball out of the bounds and the clock is stopped, or when they're an injury, or they just sustain a drive, or sometimes on third down they do. But yeah, we've got to go out there and be fresh and go play a clean game. But it's unusual, and that's one of the things we're seeing is in this new conference. We're seeing a variety of different offenses. It's different than North Texas because of what they do, but it's similar in a sense of some of the tempo and some of the things they can do. So we've got to be ready. Arkansas State had a little bit of tempo as well, but nothing like what we're going to see on Saturday.
Their quarterback is a young guy, but he's been really good, and he can throw and run. Heck, he's got a chance to break Quentin Flowers' records there, which is Quentin Flowers was a pretty darn good player when he was at South Florida. But what do you see out of him, and how do you control the running side of things? Because he seems to be pretty darn good at that.
Yeah, I mean, so we talked about the tempo and trying to handle all that, and then, by the way, they've got an accurate quarterback that's their second leading rusher. So good luck. And I think that's part of it. There's just so many dynamic things that can occur within the system that you've got to be ready for, right? Like, as soon as you're like, okay, well, they're just playing fast, you just got to get lined up, and then, wait, quarterback counter, here we go.
Right, right.
And so I think that's, part of it. You guys that will remember old Memphis games, they used to have a quarterback named Matt Grothe, and I remember from my days at Central Florida, and when I was a young coach there, and they had it kind of reminds me of what he's able to do there, right? A quarterback that's accurate, that can run, that can put them in the system, and they can do things at a high level. And he's obviously, there's a reason he's a young quarterback. They keep talking about how young he is, and I think he's either 19 or 20. I'm like, it's the same age as our young quarterback that's now a third-year starter. But look, he's dynamic, and I think that the multitude. I'm just waiting for a quarterback that's either just a running quarterback or just a throwing quarterback. All these guys are multifaceted. Yeah. When do we get to play that offense that just, okay, this is what they do and this is what they do well, and that's it. Now it's, and that's showing you guys college football and why things are occurring and why we're seeing a variety of scores the way they are.
Yeah, Norm Van Brocklin isn't walking through that door. I don't think you're going to get these one-dimensional quarterbacks anymore. They just want to keep you up all night, Ryan. That's what they want to do. All right, Saturday, homecoming, hopefully a huge crowd, a lot of former players back to watch this one, the Tigers and South Florida. Coach, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see all of our fans. It's going to be beautiful weather on Saturday for homecoming game. Can't wait to see you guys be loud and proud, wear your blue, and go Tigers.
Thank you, Coach. That's Ryan Silverfield, Tigers head football coach. You can follow him on Twitter at @rsilverfield. Second hour of the program is brought to you by our friends at James Gaddis Jewelers. The holidays are right around the corner, and this week has been Designer Week over at James Gaddis Jewelers. It will run through Saturday. So take advantage of the great deals they have on all their designer creations, and they have all types of designer jewelry. And if you haven't seen that, they're always adding new things to their collections, but they have some of the best that are there and available to you, including Vahan, Doves by Duran Paloma, Philip Gabrielle, just to name a few. Now, if you purchase during this exclusive event a designer item, it will enter you into a drawing for a pair of beautiful 1-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings. So take advantage of that possibility as well at James Gaddis Jewelers during Designer Week. 4900 Poplar Avenue between Mendenhall and St. Nick. Stop by, say hi to James and the gang. Tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings. The website for more information, find out more about them, is GaddisJewelers.com. They are your bridal, engagement, and anniversary jeweler headquarters. Been part of the fabric of Memphis for decades. It's James Gaddis Jewelers. Check them out today, 4900 Poplar Avenue in the heart of East Memphis. When we come back, it's the Tiger Football Report. Eli will have all the numbers as we break down the Tigers and the South Florida Bulls. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness, exercise your right to look good.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. This is your dentist. Do me a favor and feel the front of your teeth. How grimy are they? Ugh. It's time for a Crest Pro Health reality checkup. That grime is the buildup of plaque bacteria that can cause cavities in just months. You need to switch to Crest Pro Health. While most toothpaste stop working in minutes, Crest Pro Health's antibacterial fluoride protects for up to 12 hours to stop cavities before they start. So pick some up on the way home. Smile. Crest has you covered.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
It's time for the holidays.
Bah, humbug.
What, you're not all excited for the turkey and dressing and cranberry sauce?
The cooking, the cleaning, the relatives.
Well, you got people coming in from out of town?
Hi, so many people.
It'll be fun.
All I want to do is go to Central Barbecue.
That's all you ever want to do.
Alone.
Come on, it's the holidays.
Just sitting there in a booth all by myself, enjoying Central Barbecue, no family, being all festive.
Well, you enjoy your own private Central Barbecue holiday.
That is all I ask.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still some heavy traffic over here from our earlier wreck on 40 westbound. They're at Sycamore View Road. They're trying to get that car back on its top that flipped earlier at Holmes Road, just west of Horn Lake Road. That was a mess over there a little bit earlier. Traffic's on the increase even more coming up through South Haven just in the last few minutes. Northbound 55 up from DeSoto County. Weimer's Jewelry, they're back open better than ever. Go by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings.
Isn't it a lovely morning?
On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
It'd be a lovely morning if it's about 30 degrees warmer, but nonetheless, it looks lovely. If you're inside looking outside, it looks lovely.
What is I got to look at the forecast here for tomorrow morning. Is it going to still be a cold morning, but it's supposed to be a lot warmer during the day?
I do not know. I assume it will still be chilly in the morning, but I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to be this cold. I don't think it's supposed to be freezing. It is time for the Tiger Football Report as we take a look at the Tigers matchup for this week. It's brought to you by La Guadalupana, Binswanger Glass, Dave & Buster's, Central Barbecue, Car Corner on Mount Moriah, Los Cabos on Summer Avenue, and Coletta's. It is homecoming for the Memphis Tigers, who are 6-2 on the year, becoming bowl eligible last week for the 10th straight season, the only non-Power 5 school in the country that can say that. They are 3-1 in American Athletic Conference play, as they will take on the South Florida Bulls, who come in 4-4 on the year. The 4 wins matches their total wins for the last 3 seasons combined. That's how bad it's been for USF. But things getting turned around. They are 2-2 in the AAC. It'll be a 2 o'clock kickoff on Saturday out at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, and it will be on ESPN+. The head coaches for the game, Ryan Silverfield, who we just talked to in his 4th year, 27-18 as the head coach of the Tigers. Alex Golish, his 1st year as a head coach with USF. He came from Tennessee, where he was under Josh Heupel, also spent 1 year under Josh Heupel at UCF before they moved to Tennessee. Then the 2 years there before getting this head coaching job, his first chance to be a head coach. Memphis coming off their 45-42 win in the final seconds at North Texas. USF had a bye week last week. Their last game was a comeback win for them on the road. They won a 24-21 game at UConn 2 weeks ago, where they rallied from a 21-10 deficit in the 4th quarter. It's only the 5th time in program history that they rallied from double digits down in the 4th quarter to win a game. In the series, it is the 12th meeting all time. It started 2001 was the first meeting. Memphis leads the all-time series 7-4. Last time they met was in 2020. Memphis, speaking of fourth quarter rallies, they erased a 13-point USF lead over the final 4 minutes of that game to pick up a 34-33 win. These two teams have had some thrilling games in the past. The Memphis offense, 34th in total offense in the country, averaging 439 yards per game, 274 of that coming through the air. That's good for 35th in passing offense. And their rushing offense is 56th in the country, averaging 165 yards per game. They are 15th in the nation in scoring at 36.8 points per game. That's second in the American Athletic Conference. And they have scored at least 20 points in 22 straight games, which is the longest active streak in the nation, which that surprised the hell out of me. It feels like the way scoring is in college football today, that it feels like every team scores 20 points every week.
Except for Iowa.
Well, yes, Iowa. Iowa might have 22 straight without scoring 20 points. But that 22 straight with 20 points doesn't seem like that'd be the longest streak in America.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that last week.
Seth Hennigan, the quarterback, 67.5% completion, 2,186 yards, 16 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He has not thrown an interception in the last 2 games. He's 18th in the nation in yards, 23rd in touchdown passes. He also has 3 touchdown runs on the year, so 19 total touchdowns for Hennigan. Coming off a really good game against North Texas with 22 out of 28 for 330 yards. He only had the 1 touchdown. That was the game winner with 12 seconds left in that game. That was the only touchdown that he threw because they ran the ball so well. Blake Watson in that game had his 4th 100-yard game of the season, tied his season high with 169 yards on 17 carries, had 2 touchdowns. For the year now, Blake Watson, like his numbers are nationally pretty incredible. He's 23rd in rushing yards, 762. He's averaging 6.4 a carry. He's got 9 rushing touchdowns. That ties him for 12th in the nation. Last week, he had his first 100-yard receiving game as he had 5 catches for 100 yards. He's got 348 receiving yards now. His 269 total yards last week, 4th best performance in Tiger history. For the season now, averaging just under 139 yards from scrimmage per game. That is 6th in the nation. He has 5 rushes of 60 or more yards this year, which is 2 more than anyone else in the country. Nobody has more than 3. He has 5.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Once he gets to that second line of defense, he makes a little juke and he outruns you.
But his total yardage, I mean, again, averaging nearly 139 yards from scrimmage per game. That's pretty darn good.
And think about this. That Tulane game, basically, I know he played a little bit. He basically didn't play that game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you take that out, he's going to be up probably around 150 or 160. Brandon Thomas, he has become the goal line back. Last week, 3 one-yard touchdown runs. He has 5 touchdowns now on the year on just 17 carries. That's very efficient.
Yes, it is.
And those 5 touchdowns have totaled, I believe, 7 yards. I think it was 2-yarders and 3 1-yarders.
Especially for a guy who was playing strictly special teams just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. Rock Taylor, last week, just 37 yards on 4 catches for him, his second lowest yardage output of the season, but continues to lead the team with 42 catches, 593 yards. He has 2 touchdown receptions. Despite a couple of key drops last week, Demir Blakemsey had 4 catches in that game for 80 yards to lead the wide receivers. 30 catches for him on the year, 443 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Joe Skates made the game-winning touchdown catch for the Tigers. He's very efficient, much like Brandon Thomas. 4 touchdowns on just 15 catches. So Thomas has 5 touchdowns on 17 carries. Skates has 4 touchdowns on 15 catches.
Should have had 5.
So they should have. So their total of on 32 touches, 9 touchdowns combined between the two of them, Skates and Thomas. The Memphis defense, they continue to slide. They continue to slide down the national rankings. There was a point this year they were in the top 10 in total defense. Now they're 93rd. 396 yards per game they're giving up. 237 passing yards, that's 83rd. 159 rushing yards, that's 86th. And they're giving up 25 points per game, which is 61st. They had been really good on third down. Last week was not a good week. The North Texas converted 50% of their third downs, 7 out of 14, dropping the Tigers now to 15th in the nation in third down defense, as teams are converting just under 31% of the time. They have 17 sacks on the year, but nobody on the team has more than 2. 13 takeaways on the year, including 8 fumble recoveries. The 8 fumble recoveries ties them for 5th in the nation in fumble recoveries. Chandler Martin continues to have an outstanding year, leads the team in tackles, leads them in tackles for loss, and he's tied for the team lead in sacks. His 40 solo tackles leads the American Athletic Conference, top 15 in the nation in solo tackles. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Canton-Arku, second on the team, 42 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Those 2 guys continue to be the anchors in that defense, no doubt about that. And Martin has been, that dude's terrific. He's one of those guys that seems to always be around the ball.
He's also a guy that going into the season, nobody really knew about. He wasn't one of the names that people would talk about when they talked about the Memphis defense.
USF, their offense, 35th in the nation in total offense, 437 yards per game, 246 through the air, 190 on the ground. They score 28 points per game, which is 69th in the nation. They run more plays per game than anyone. They average 83.6 plays per game, which again leads the country. Alex Golesh has been a play caller for 3 years. The 1 year, he had the 2 years at Tennessee and then the 1 year here at USF. In those 3 years, his team averages over 3 plays per minute, which is the most in the country. Think about that. 3 plays per minute. You got to get lined up really, really fast.
Yeah, look, and you know the reason for tempo, right? USF has some players, but it's certainly not Ohio State or Michigan talent. What they want to do is keep you off balance as a defense, have you running around chasing your tail by playing as quick as they do. And if they don't put the ball on the ground or throw picks, it can be very successful.
I mean, if you think about that, you have to run a play more than once every 20 seconds. Regardless of what the previous play was, you got to be lined up and snapping the ball in less than 20 seconds to run over the 3 plays per minute.
Doesn't give the analyst much time on a USF broadcast to be able to get what they want in.
No, not at all. Their quarterback, number 17, he is a redshirt freshman, Byram Brown. He just turned 19 a little over a month ago. He started the year as an 18-year-old starting quarterback, completing 61% of his passes, 1,865 yards. He's got 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but he can run the ball. 567 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground as well. His 304 yards per game in total offense, that leads the American and is 12th in the nation. And as I mentioned, if they make a bowl game, they can get 2 more wins and make a bowl game, he's got a really good chance to break Quentin Flowers' school record for total yards in a season. You may remember Quentin Flowers.
I do.
The one game he had here against Memphis, that dude was really good. If a redshirt freshman breaks that record, that's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, that's a good quarterback to have for several more years.
Flowers has actually the top 2 seasons in their history, and Brown might break that record in his first year as a starting quarterback. Their running backs, Naquan Wright is number 5. He is a transfer from Florida, has 590 yards on the year, 5 touchdowns, 3 100-yard games. Last time out, 186 yards in their game at UConn, which is the most by a player in the American Athletic Conference this season. So he is a good one. They got a lot of receivers that they throw the ball to. The best one, the number 1 receiver, is a former walk-on. Number 38, very odd number for a receiver, but number 38, Sean Atkins, 51 catches, 550 yards, 3 touchdowns. He has at least 4 catches in every game this year, and he is on pace to break the USF record for receptions in a season. So he's the number 1 guy. You get number 38, the former walk-on. You've got number 7, Naeem Simmons. He's a transfer from Wagner. He's got 28 catches, 457 yards, and 3 touchdowns. In their game against Rice, Simmons had 8 catches for 272 yards and a touchdown. The 272 yards, the most ever by a receiver playing for a team in the state of Florida in FBS.
Wow.
So no Florida receiver's ever done that.
Right.
But this dude did it against Rice this year. Zach, you will respect Naeem Simmons. I do not. He's never eaten red meat in his life.
I like him.
Not my kind of guy, but a pretty good receiver. Number 6, Michael Brown-Stevens, transfer from Minnesota. 21 catches, 271 yards, 2 touchdowns. You might like him too. He's the nephew of John Legend. John Legend came to one of their games.
Would that be considered a fun fact?
It is. He's not a legend, but he is the nephew of one. And number 1, Shafree Brown. He's a North Carolina transfer. He's got a Minnesota transfer. He's got a North Carolina transfer. Running back's a Florida transfer. Again, this is, as Ryan Silverfield talked about, like you could go out and change your roster in a hurry. Brown has 15 catches, 273 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The USF defense, these are not good. 121st in the nation in total defense, 84th against the run, 128th against the pass. So UAB in North Texas, they were terrible against the run and okay, in air quotes, against the pass. USF, against the pass, they've been terrible. But this is what's weird. Their 2 lowest passing totals allowed this year. Navy, 90 yards. Alabama, 107.
Wow, I remember that game. I watched a lot of that game.
Every other team is thrown for like 350 to 400 yards against them, except for Navy and Alabama, which is weird. They're 124th in scoring defense, give up 34 points per game. What's the lowest point total they allowed this year? 17 to Alabama. Like the numbers, like that game does not make sense.
Well, that was the game where everybody started to, wasn't it the criticism, Milroe?
No, Milroe, that was when he used Simpson and
Buckner.
It started Buckner.
Yeah.
Last year, they were 131st in total defense and 130th in scoring. So they have improved. Their defense is getting better year to year. They went from 131 to 121. They do get tackles for loss, though. That is one thing. They are very aggressive. Tied for 8th in the nation. They have 65 tackles for loss, which is more than they had all of last season. And they have 13 total takeaways on the year, same as the Tigers. Some few guys to watch defensively. Number 17, linebacker Jalen Shuler. He's their leading tackler. Cornerback, number 0, Daquan Evans. If you watch the Alabama game, you'll remember him. He leads them in tackles for loss with 10. He leads them in sacks with 3. All 3 of those sacks came against Alabama. He had 4 tackles for loss in the game against Alabama. He was the AAC Defensive Player of the week they played Alabama. And he's a corner. Their safety, number 21, Jalen Stokes, second on the team in tackles. He's got 3.5 tackles for loss, a couple of interceptions, and a fumble recovery as well. Again, this is a defense that has struggled mightily against everybody other than Alabama, which is, take that for what it's worth. Memphis, a 13.5-point favorite. The over-under sitting at 68.5, which I believe is the same as what last week's game was, which went soaring well over that total. And the Tigers have been going over a lot with their totals. The Tiger Football Report brought to you by La Guadalupana, Ben Swanger Glass, Dave & Buster's, Central Barbecue, Car Corner on Mount Moriah, Coletta's, and Los Cabos on Summer Avenue. 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon with the Tigers and the Bulls on ESPN+.
Can Will Levis lead the Titans to another win? They'll play the Steelers tonight. We'll talk a little Thursday night football, a little golf news as well to wrap up hour 2. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
They're taking care of business in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Wow, I feel good. Shopping at Drive Max. Drive Max. Drive Max. You get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? Drive Max has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
Drive Max. I got approved.
Memphis's oldest restaurant, Coletta's, was established in 1923 to give Memphians the best Italian food possible. And I'd say they got it right. They are the creators of the barbecue pizza. It was Elvis's favorite, and I know for a fact that a large will feed one person all weekend. If you need to feed several, though, Coletta's caters any event. Choose from homemade lasagna, ravioli, Alfredo, primavera, and so many other delicious items you can't help but enjoy. Impress employees or clients and treat them to Coletta's for lunch or dinner. Plan ahead and get your holiday party booked at Coletta's. Elvis's favorite place to go eat with his buddies at the South Parkway location, and Coletta's even has an Elvis room dedicated to him. Call Coletta's on South Parkway at 948-7652 or Appling Road at 383-1122. Coletta's. It was Elvis's favorite, and it should be yours too.
Memphis football is home Saturday, November 4th at 2 o'clock for a homecoming against South Florida. Enjoy the pregame concert, mechanical bull riding, and Tiger tailgate on Tiger Lane before the game. Tickets start at just $20 as Memphis football continues to work toward a berth in the American Championship game. Be at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium Saturday, November 4th at 2. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Genuine diamonds, baby.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
It's still a pretty long shot, although half the season remains, for the Titans to be in the race for the AFC South title. The Jags are playing terrific football. They're 6-2. But for the Titans to be in that position, they're going to have to win tonight. And that's a road game at Pittsburgh. We'll have the game for you right here on Sports 56, beginning with the pregame at 7 o'clock. But you look at the Steelers situation. They are in the AFC North. It is loaded with the Ravens, with the Bengals now with a healthy Joe Burrow playing great football. And, of course, Cleveland with their defense has a chance in any game with that defense. So Pittsburgh at 4-3, they need a win, to be honest with you. They lose, they drop to 4-4. The Browns and the Bengals are both 4-3. The Ravens leading the division at 6-2. So we're getting to that time, Eli, again, past the halfway pole, where these games start to be magnified, and certainly an important one for both the Steelers and the Titans. And for the Titans, it's whether or not Will Levis can go back-to-back and play as well as he did in his first NFL game, throwing 4 touchdown passes. Can he do it against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we'll see. He was obviously terrific, and he was able to find DeAndre Hopkins with the deep ball. Pittsburgh has done it with smoke and mirrors. Their offense has been really, really bad. For them to be 4-3 is crazy, but their defense has been really good. Obviously, T.J. Watt will try and introduce himself to Will Levis in this one. So, but yeah, both teams' offenses have struggled, although the Titans woke up a little bit last week with Levis hitting DeAndre Hopkins and throwing the 4 touchdowns.
Hopkins missed practice yesterday, but according to reports, he is expected to play tonight. As far as Pittsburgh, have you heard, is it Kenny Pickett back, or is it Trubisky again?
I believe Pickett's supposed to play. I believe. I'm not positive on that, but I think I saw that he was supposed to play.
Of course, you have former Memphis Tiger Calvin Austin returning punts and occasionally catching passes for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. So, again, Titans and Steelers tonight. The Steelers a 2.5-point favorite at home.
We got a this is a long text, but I want to read this. It's about Bobby Knight. This is really interesting. A texter texts in and says, I loved Bobby Knight and knew he had a total personality disorder later in life. He was at West Point for years with my grandparents. He adored them and they adored him. All three were Ohio State grads. My grandfather was the swimming coach and assistant athletic director who hired him and eventually coached Kay a few years later. They were both head coaches of the U.S. Olympic team and remained friends. Grandpa remains the only Marine buried at the West Point Cemetery.
Wow.
Coach Knight kept a soft spot in my heart for the way he treated my grandmother. She was a 7th and 8th grade grammar teacher and a volunteer at the library. What people don't know about Bobby Knight is he was the biggest donor to the library everywhere he ever lived. He donated millions to the Indiana University Library, practically built the thing himself. When he saw the pathetic library Texas Tech had, he built a new one, even donating his entire salary in years where he thought the team played badly and he hadn't earned the money. He wasn't all good, but he is much more good than people will ever give him credit for in ways most people will never know. He was much more than a basketball coach who accomplished the incredible despite only coaching one all-pro player his entire career. And he remains an example of how fragile a reputation is and how easily a person can destroy their own reputation.
I appreciate that text. That is interesting stuff. Doesn't surprise me whatsoever, as a lot of people have come out now and have talked glowingly about Bobby Knight. Obviously, there have been other people that continue to criticize, especially his latter years, what ended up happening to him. But certainly, the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah, I had no idea about that he donated that type of money and for libraries, stuff like that. That's yeah, I mean, listen, you hear enough people who had the close relationships with him to know that there was a lot of good in there. Again, later on in the coaching career is when he did some of the stupid stuff, but certainly a great coach and certainly there was a soft spot in his heart for certain people and did a lot of really good things. But as the texter points out, he's a good example of how a few of those bad things at the end can really stain that reputation.
From the world of golf, the TGL season, the inaugural TGL season, I guess that stands for the Golf League, will begin here soon. Matches are going to be on Monday nights in Florida. However, Jon Rahm, one of the top players in the world, says he will not be a part of it. He originally had said he would, but it's pretty simple. The matches are going to be in Florida. John said, well, I live in Arizona, so I'm going to stay home. So Jon Rahm will be replaced on the roster. It's a 24-player roster. Of course, they're broken up into teams. I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't know if I'll watch. I don't know where it will be available. Do you have any idea who's going to be carrying it?
I have no idea.
Is that something that does anything for you?
No.
Yeah, me either. So that's the news, though. Jon Rahm will not be a part of it. Also, if you want a good read, and I've just kind of skimmed over it a little bit, but Jeff Eisenberg's a really good writer. He has written about Mikey Williams. And the caption here on Twitter, or X, is, he was a middle school phenom and an NIL trailblazer. He had 1 million Instagram followers before he played his first high school game. Now at 19, Mikey Williams is a cautionary tale. It looks like, again, I've just skimmed some of it, but it looks like it's a great story. Jeff Eisenberg, check it out, about Mikey Williams, who still is on the Memphis Tigers roster. But we know that he faces a long road ahead of him as far as the legal system is concerned.
He's listed as out for tonight's game.
He will not play in tonight's preseason game.
It's breakfast time, folks. So when it comes to breakfast, no place better in town than what you'll find at Sunrise, with 2 locations. The original 670 Jefferson Avenue and Sunrise East on Poplar Avenue in East Memphis. Looking for breakfast, certainly you could go find those great biscuit sandwiches they got. They've got their own homemade biscuits, the big old square biscuits. You can get the sausage, egg, and cheese, or bacon, egg, and cheese. You can get my favorite, the P-Love, which is the fried bologna with the egg and cheese. They got Of course, the great bowls. They've got the kitchen sink. They've got the Three Amigos tacos. They got all kinds of different items on that breakfast menu. A great lunch menu as well that you can take advantage of, from the bacon cheeseburger to the French dip, which is my favorite, to any of the other sandwiches and salads. Of course, if you're in the mood for a Bloody Mary, they've got a massive selection of Bloody Marys, mimosas, all that type of stuff as well, if you're headed over there for brunch at Sunrise. Check them out at sunrise901.com. You can order online for pickup to make it very easy for you to go grab your food and be on your way in the morning. But the original location, 670 Jefferson Avenue, Sunrise East in East Memphis, for breakfast and lunch. Check them out at Sunrise.
Coming up, final hour today, it's the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour. Harold Grader will join us. We'll have our world-famous Pick Six. It's all coming up. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals, and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Corky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime. Tonight, two of the NFL's toughest teams tangle when the Tennessee Titans travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon, live from Pittsburgh. It's the Titans and the Steelers, tonight on Thursday Night Football, and it's on Prime. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg at East Memphis Ace. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ready to cook in only 15 minutes with cook temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between. Change your at-home cooking experience for life with our unmatched, authentic wood-fired grill flavor that has our customers raving. Get your Big Green Egg and all our accessories at East Memphis Ace on the corner of South White Station and Quince Road.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, the official hotel of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working towards your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day, from comfortable guest rooms to a complimentary hot breakfast. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay. Fairfield by Marriott, part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels, an official hotel of the NCAA.
If you haven't experienced Genesis Diamonds yet, your moment has arrived. Next weekend, November 10th through 12th, Genesis is putting everything on sale. Save 20, 30, even 35%. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, engagement rings. World-class designers will be here too, showcasing fashion jewelry never seen here before. All on sale. Luxury pre-owned Rolex watches and all lab-grown diamonds are also included. Don't miss this spectacular store-wide sale. Next weekend, November 10th, 11th, and 12th at Genesis Diamonds, Poplar and Perkins Extended. See store for details.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still a little bit slow from some rubbernecking going on from an earlier crash, 40 westbound at Sycamore View Road. They're trying to finish up the paperwork on an earlier collision at Holmes Road, just west of Horn Lake Road. There's still some heavy traffic trying to get into Midtown right now on 240, especially here up by Lamar. Get rid of that old junk car today by calling Jordan's Cash for junk cars here in the Memphis area. That number is 502-7750. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Mornings. This hour brought to you by Acura of Memphis. It's time now for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour. Here are your hosts, Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Harold Grader.
Welcome back, everybody. 9:01 the time. Final hour for us today here on Sports 56 Mornings. It is the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour. We are in the Family Leisure Studios
It's where family and fun come together. Family Leisure. Their overstock sale continues at 2120 Whitten Road. That's just north of I-40. Well, Eli, it's heating up. 37 degrees now.
So you put your coat on.
I'm cold.
Okay?
It's freezing in here.
You're the one that likes this so much.
I do like the cold, but I don't like it freezing inside. 37 degrees, sunshine outside. It
actually feels really good in here.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm getting sick.
70 degrees in here.
I'm stuffy.
This is really good.
I can tell you that much. I'm very stuffy right now. Mostly sunny skies today, though. We're looking at a high of 61 degrees. Mostly clear skies tonight with a low near 40. Then a high tomorrow of 66 and sunshine for your Friday. As we get close to Saturday and football at the University of Memphis, playing over at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium against South Florida. 72 degrees is the forecast for Saturday. Chamber of Commerce Day.
You got your jacket ready because it's like 70 degrees in here right now.
I'm cold, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm getting a little sick, my friend. It happens from time to time. We got Harold Grader joining us in just a few moments. We'll have our world-famous Pick 6, where one of you will go up against one of us for delicious Central barbecue. But from a football standpoint this weekend, it is a great schedule. We are in the final month of the regular season, right before conference championship games, and then, of course, the bowl season. And I look at the schedule this week, and you see, obviously, Alabama playing LSU, kind of leading the way. Bedlam will be played, and that'll be the last time as far as Oklahoma State being members of the same conference. You have Kansas State and Texas, another huge game in the Big 12. You also have a game between Notre Dame and Clemson, which is just not that big this year because Clemson has already lost 4 times, and Dabo Swinney may have lost his mind. Notre Dame sits there at 7-2. So time to talk about this schedule, time to talk about some of the games that will affect both the SEC and the Big 12 with our good buddy Harold Grader from the AutoZone Liberty Ball. How are you, man?
Gregory, good morning. Eli, good to see you as well.
Good to have you. He's busting my chops because I got a jacket on, but I'm cold for some reason. It is what
not
it is.
paid the heating bill around here?
I don't know. I'm comfortable. It's like 70 degrees. Feels good.
I'm good.
I always wonder about the internet bill, but yeah, the heating bill I think is paid. So everything's good with you. What's the plan? What's the game plan this weekend?
This weekend, let's see. I'm going to be doing a double dip on Saturday. Some of it work related, some of it just being a college student's dad. Gonna make an early stop in Oxford. Check in on our friends at Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Ross Bjork, the former Ole Miss AD, now the AD at A&M, been there for a while, actually. Going to stop it at that game and then head to Tuscaloosa for LSU, Alabama, and see our daughter and see what I think is going to probably be one of the most impactful games of the weekend because obviously, you know, for Alabama and LSU, the winner stays in the hunt for the SEC West. For Alabama, I think specifically, you know, if they win, the West title is there, a potential SEC championship opportunity is still there, and a playoff opportunity is there. So a lot on the line in that ball game, particularly for Alabama.
What do you think right now, Eli, the odds, if you went a percentage, that Alabama kind of backdoors their way into the playoff? What would you say right now? 25%?
10%.
10, so very, very low.
Yeah.
Probably lower than that because I don't think they're going to win this weekend.
And they very well may not. I mean, they got a quarterback on the other side that's pretty doggone good.
What did you think of the first college football rankings for the playoff?
I don't get too excited or jump up and down and reactionary over week one. It was interesting, kind of more or less what we had talked about. Maybe 3 and 4 or 2 and 3 or whatever may be a little bit different than what we had. But going in, I had Georgia 1, I think Ohio State 2, Michigan, Florida State in there somewhere. Washington, I thought could have been flipped in there at 4. More or less what we expected. Obviously, Ole Miss, as you look at the SEC, good for them at number 10. Alabama there at 8. But as far as the actual rankings, not too much of a reaction for me. I was more interested in hearing from Boo Corrigan, the chairman of the committee.
Yes.
To hear, what are they thinking? What's their approach? What are they emphasizing? What are they not emphasizing? Just some of his comments. That was what I was more interested in. And when he was asked about, I guess he was asked about Ohio State, and because one of the quotes I jotted down as I was taking notes was, he said they looked at the body of work of Ohio State, the top five. He was asked about the Michigan situation. Is that impacting the poll? And he said that's an NCAA issue.
And he's right.
That's not a CFP issue.
Yes.
And I get that.
Yes.
Let's see what else.
We were talking about him earlier.
Just trying to get some insight into what their thought process is, how they're evaluating, and at the end of the interview with Reese Davis, he said, every week is a clean slate. So, and I don't know if I agree with that.
It's not a completely clean slate.
It can't be, because the ranking is an evaluation. Where we are, it was okay through week 9. Was it 9 or 10? Not 9.
We're through
Whatever.
9. Yeah, we're through 9.
It was okay through this point of the season. We're going to assess the quote unquote best teams in the country. So you've already assessed that. So the next piece of evidence is this week's game, and you add to it as opposed to starting all over.
He probably misspoke. You add to it because how can you?
I don't think he misspoke, because he said
because
his response to Reese was, "Yep, next week start with a clean slate."
Theoretically, it's all like theoretically, yes, you do, but you're not. It's not like you threw away all the work you've done to this point. Like
I would hope
you're going to keep that, because that would be dumb not to.
You would hope so.
Keep that work and then just add to it. But it is. I think what he's saying is that it does. Theoretically, Washington, or just because if they all stay undefeated this week doesn't mean they're going to stay in the same order. Because
because it might depend on who'd you beat.
Yeah,
as one factor in that.
If you clean the slate, if the slate was completely clean, and you didn't consider anything else, it's impossible, because then you would look in just at what's coming up this weekend. Okay, Rutgers beats Ohio State. All right, so Rutgers will be number 1 or number 2 in our playoff rankings.
Well, no, he's not saying it he's just saying that they've assessed them with this many games. Now, next week, they'll assess them with this many games. He's not saying they're only assessing 1 week. He's saying it's a clean slate. We will now look at the teams all next week based on more evidence.
Which is what Harold just said, right? You add to what you just talked about. I just think it was a bad figure of speech in what he said. But I do agree with everything pretty much that Boo had said. You certainly don't want to consider what's going on with Michigan as far as where the playoff committee is concerned. That is an NCAA issue. He is absolutely right about that. If they tell them they can't include Michigan, they're going to be put on probation or they'll be stricken from the playoff. That's a whole different ballgame. So I like what he said about that. As far as the standings are concerned, I am glad they had Ohio State number 1, because all you are looking at is the total resume of the teams this season. And Ohio State, with their wins against Notre Dame and against Penn State, easily has the best resume of those undefeated teams. So, therefore, they are number 1. I think they did a really good job.
I don't think there's not a whole lot of room to argue with that. And I agree with what you just said, Greg, and with Ohio State. And if you want to look at 1 versus 2, Ohio State, Georgia, no doubt Ohio State has played a tougher schedule. One of the other things that Boo mentioned or was asked about was, head-to-head. He said head-to-head is very important. I think an example of that is Texas-Alabama. Texas went into Tuscaloosa, beat Alabama. Texas is 7, Alabama's 8. But he said that's just one factor. But again, if that is going to be a consistent, and here's a key, are they going to be consistent in what they use to evaluate this? Again, to get those insights as to what the committee is thinking. But he said head-to-head's important, but it's just one of the pieces that we throw into the mix as we evaluate these teams.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, head-to-head Yes, obviously it's going to be, but that to me, it's not necessarily the head-to-head. It's that it's either a quality win because like Oklahoma is behind Texas. If you're just going on head-to-head, should go Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama.
Right.
But Oklahoma's loss is worse than Texas's loss, and Texas has a better win than probably any win Oklahoma has, even though Oklahoma beat them. So it's all, to me, a win over Texas for Oklahoma is a great win. Just like a win over Alabama is a great win for Texas. A loss to Kansas is worse than a loss to Oklahoma. So it's just all part of the thing.
Well, sometimes the issue becomes relevant when it's a teams that played during the regular season, like Oklahoma and Texas, if they meet again in the Big 12 championship and they split. That's when it can become a little cloudy.
Yeah, just again, every committee is different. How they evaluate teams and how they choose to evaluate teams. But my recollection, from years past, that that phrase of data points and all of that stuff that they in the past have chosen or have articulated about not penalizing a team that plays in their conference championship game. That's a 13th game or a 13th data point for that team. You got a bunch of a bunch of other schools, sitting at home who didn't make the championship game. So if you lose the championship game, are you going to get penalized because you played for your championship?
But they will get penalized because that's another loss unless they go unless it's two undefeated teams playing in the championship game. So
we'll see how that plays out. See what this committee is thinking.
No two-loss team has ever made the playoffs. So let's say Alabama beats LSU, they win the West, they get a shot at Georgia. That type of stuff. Alabama loses a tight one to Georgia. Now, it depends on what everybody else is doing around the country, but Alabama's out because that'll be two losses. No two-loss team has ever gotten into the playoffs, so I think they are penalized. And let's say they didn't make the conference championship game. Let's say for some reason they had their one loss. They were tied with Ole Miss. I know Ole Miss lost to them head-to-head. Just a scenario where Alabama would lose out on the tiebreaker. Well, then they would only have the one loss. How would the committee consider the one-loss Alabama team as opposed to the two-loss Alabama team that lost in the championship game?
We shall see.
Doug texted, he says, committee talks out of both sides of their mouth again.
They do sometimes.
They say Ohio State has won because of resume, but that doesn't apparently factor in with Florida State. Florida State has better wins than Michigan or Georgia.
Yes, I brought that up the other day.
Well, I mean, they've got the LSU win. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot on Florida State's resume.
Yeah, but we went over the Michigan and the Georgia schedule, strength of schedule. What was Georgia's? Like over 100?
Yeah, but again, they do consider, one of the things they consider is the game control, and the fact that Michigan has dominated every opponent. They give weight to that. Now, how much that weight, how they balance that versus a win over an LSU, I don't know. Again, we're not in that room to decide, and everyone probably does it a little bit differently. I personally do think Florida State could have been higher, but it's not like Florida State has a ton of great wins. They'd have a win over LSU.
What do you think about game control? Because we live in a world where we say, just like the Tigers last week, right? Just win, baby. They got the win. It was ugly in the second half. They won the football game. That seems to be a motto in sports. Just win, no matter how you win. Well, here you have to win with style points. When you step on somebody, you have to continue to step on it. Right. You score a touchdown, you might as well go for another touchdown there towards the end to make the score even more lopsided. I don't know if that's what we want in sports.
I don't think it's about doing. You can watch a game and tell whether a team
is the better team.
Yeah, controlled the game. It's not the final margin of victory. I mean, if they score a touchdown with 3 seconds left, and everybody sees that they scored that touchdown, we know it. I mean, you watch a game like the Texas-Oklahoma game was just a really close game back and forth the entire time, just like Oregon and Washington. That's much different than having complete control over that game and really never being in danger of losing.
South Florida was the better team against Alabama for 3 quarters. So do we look at it and go, yeah, they may have lost the game, but they were in control of that game. They just couldn't score there at the end, and Alabama scored and put it away. I'm just using that as an example. Right. I know it's a little far-fetched, but that's why I don't like what happens. Hey, what happened in the second quarter of that game? What happened? I don't really care. But I guess they have to have criteria. And that's just another piece of the criteria they use.
Yeah, I have not slowed down long enough to read the transcript the press conference that they had with Boo.
Yeah, I have not looked
to see if game control came up. So I'm going to look into that. And again, we know that's a phrase and a data point that they have used in the past. But I don't know if that was asked about
I don't know
after the poll came out the other night.
I mean, to really put, as kind of to Doug's point, to put Georgia and Michigan both ahead of Florida State, like game control has to have something to do with that. Because Florida State does have. I mean, right. Michigan has beaten.
I was just going to look at their
just
schedule.
dominated
they pounded
everybody.
them. Yeah,
so
they pounded them.
Now, again, it helps when you know their signs. But it's easy to pound teams when you know what their plays are running. But so that clearly that had something to do with it for Michigan. Because, again, Washington has the best win of any of them based on their rankings. They beat the 6th team. None of the others has a win in the top 6. So for Washington not to be ahead of Michigan, he even talked about it on the TV thing because he said, why did Washington fall to 5? Because the last 2 weeks. Both were wins, but they struggled against Stanford and, was it Arizona? Was it Arizona?
Yes.
He said that's what held Washington down. Even though they've got the win over Oregon, which is the best win ranking-wise, they were knocked down because they struggled in those 2 games. So game control clearly is a part of it. Had they blown out Stanford and blown out Arizona, they are probably in the top 4.
But again, it gets to a situation where in a game, you're in control, but you want to score a couple of more touchdowns there at the end to make it really look good in front of the committee. Let me look at Florida State. Okay, so LSU, he brought this up in the post in his interview with Reese Davis. And this is why they have Florida State 4th. He talked about the red bandana game at Boston College. Florida State struggled with Boston College. Boston College was amped up. This is a very important game for them, the red bandana game. So they almost pulled off the upset, but Florida State made the plays down the stretch. They won the game. I don't have a final score in front of me. I don't know if you have it, Eli. But they ended up winning. They won the game. The bottom line is all the emotions on the road at Boston College, and they won that game. And they are hurt by that because it wasn't an absolute blowout like Michigan's blown out everybody, and they've played all those fantastic Big Ten teams, all those great teams from the Western Division. And I like Michigan. I think they're really, really good. But, yes, Florida State's resume, look, I know Clemson is having an off year for Clemson, but they went to Death Valley and won that game. Virginia Tech right now is playing really, really well. They beat Virginia Tech. They beat Duke. They won at Wake Forest. Florida State's resume right now, if you're going strictly by the resume, is better than Michigan's. As much as I like Michigan, but I also like Mike Norvell's team, Florida State should be ahead of them. The texter's absolutely right. As far as Georgia's the weird one because Georgia, to me, have you seen Georgia play yet this year?
I have, no, not in person.
Not in person, okay. Georgia seems like, when they want to turn it on, they just turn it on. Like theirs goes to 11. When they want it. Florida, it's the rivalry here, the cocktail party. We'll rev it up. They revved it up. Now, the schedule gets tougher. Mizzou's having a great year. They're going to play Tennessee. Who else does Georgia play? Tennessee, Missouri, Georgia Tech, of course.
Ole Miss.
And Ole Miss. So now you're going to see really if it was, we're kind of sleepwalking through some of these games earlier in the year, or is there really a chink in the armor as far as this Georgia team compared to what the Georgia team was the last 2 years? So I don't know.
Well, the other thing, too, that with Georgia, the question becomes with Georgia, if they were to lose one of these games without Brock Bowers, but get Brock Bowers back and for the, say, SEC championship game, how do they judge that loss without their best player if he's going to be there for the postseason?
Right.
They have to consider that as well.
I wonder how much they do consider those injuries, though.
You have to.
I think it's a great
tight end.
It's in the mix.
You don't give them a free pass. You don't act like they didn't lose the game, but you say, listen, like they played without their best player. There's something to be said for that.
But he's not their quarterback. I mean, if they play without Carson Beck,
but he's the best player the quarterback has to throw to.
I know, but I can't.
He's the best player on their team. He might be the best player in the country.
Yeah, but I can't imagine these guys in that room going, hey, this team in this game, 4th week of the year, they didn't have their left tackle. And he's protecting the blind side of the quarterback. I don't know how deep they go into that stuff. Maybe they do. it just seems like they
Usually these people are just guessing on stuff. Like, they're doing their jobs.
They're doing their jobs, but again, I don't know how deep they're getting into the injury reports and things of that nature. I don't know. Brock Bowers is a difference maker, yes, but he's not their starting quarterback. So, but I think right now it's complicated because you have 5 really good, deserving undefeated teams, and of course you have a bunch of good one-loss teams as well right behind. But there's still a lot to be determined.
And again, that's why week 1, I don't get too crazy about.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Well,
it makes great. It makes great conversation. And again, if you go way back to the creation of the BCS, what we're doing today and what fans are doing, because it creates interest in the game.
There's only 2 teams.
That's great.
Let's see if you know this. Since the college football playoff came into fruition, which was 2014, was the first year.
Yeah.
Okay. There have been 2 teams that were the number 1 team in the first week that did not make the playoff. 2 teams that were the number 1 team of the 4, the top 4, in the first week, and they did not make the playoff.
Talk about,
I have no clue.
the team that was ranked first in the first ever college playoff rankings, don't you?
I don't.
You don't remember that?
I don't. I have no clue.
Mississippi State.
I do remember that.
Them and Ole Miss were both top 4, I think.
Is that with Dak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Dak, Mississippi State.
I want to say Ole Miss was, maybe they were, I don't know if they were top. I want to say Ole Miss might have been in that top 4, that first one.
Wasn't that the cover of SI? I think when they still actually had magazines with the Magnolia State thing with Mississippi State and Ole Miss. I'm trying to remember.
So the 2 are Ole Miss and Mississippi State?
No.
I can't remember.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State and Tennessee. Last year.
I did not remember that.
Was that last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Tennessee last year. So those
Holy cow.
those 2 are the only ones that were number 1 the first week and did not actually make it into the playoff. By the way, and we'll take a break after this, but I want to get some comments from you on the Big 12. You got a 5-way tie for first place.
It is crazy, and that's great. That's great. Again, it builds interest in the league and in the game. I'm trying to get to my Big 12 notes. Here we go. These are conference records. Oklahoma, Iowa State, Okie State, Texas, K-State, all 4-1. And, right behind them, Kansas is 3-2, West Virginia 3-2. But if you look at those one-loss teams, obviously this week in the Big 12, the Bedlam game, big one, Okie State in Oklahoma. And then down the road for Oklahoma, a game at BYU could be a little bit of a tester. They're having to go out west in November. That'll be interesting. Iowa State, team that we have our eye on, their remaining schedule: Kansas, BYU, Texas, K-State, Oklahoma State. I got to tell you, our guy Mike Gundy doing a good job out there from where they were a year ago to what they're doing this year to be in the hunt. Again, a huge game for them this week against Oklahoma, and then the remaining schedule for them: UCF, Houston, BYU. So.
All newcomers, and not too tough there. Texas, kind of a middle-of-the-road finishing schedule. K-State this week, at TCU, at Iowa State, and then Texas Tech. Obviously, the quarterback situation there with Texas. And now that they're down to 4 games, here's the thing. One of the things to keep an eye out for: will Arch Manning get some time in each of these 4 remaining games? Because you can play in 4, right,
and save the season.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that if the opportunity is there based on the scoreboard, will they be able to put Arch Manning into the game just to get him some in-game regular season reps, and obviously not jeopardize the extra year. So just a little nugget to keep an eye on there. And then the final school at 4-1 in the Big 12 is Kansas State. Big game this week. I mentioned Texas. They have at Texas, Baylor, at Kansas, and then Iowa State. So they have a little bit of a challenging run. So, at the end of the day, after the Red River game in Dallas, we've all been talking about Texas and Oklahoma being the top 2 teams. I got to think it's still, when it's all said and done, that those two will beat in the Big 12 championship game. But again, some interesting games to be played, and again, none bigger in the Big 12 than the Oklahoma State game this week.
It's an interesting point you bring up about Arch Manning. What's the kid's name again that's replaced Ewers?
Malik Murphy.
If Murphy gets hurt, I assume Arch is the guy. He's the next guy, right? There's not another quarterback, is there?
So. I didn't look at their depth chart.
Yeah, I believe
I
believe Arch is third, but I don't know.
I think he is. Need to double check.
Do you think, Eli, that Kansas State? I know you've picked Texas to be in the playoff all year long, preseason pick, but do you think Kansas State could give them a run?
I think Kansas State has a great chance. Kansas State's playing great.
I think Kansas State may pull an upset over Texas. I really do. I think they may pull an upset.
Now, doing it in Austin is a different proposition, but K-State is playing well. I think that's one of our picks, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
So we'll talk about that.
When you are enjoying watching college football, high school football, of course, the state playoffs begin in Tennessee this week. You're enjoying any sporting event or just having a good old time at your home. What makes it even better? Those sweet chocolates and candies from your friends at Dinstall's. Time to start planning for the holiday gifts. So let Dinstall's make that easy for you this year. Just call your favorite location, see the variety of sweet expressions of your thanks this year, and have those candies, those chocolates sent anywhere in the country to your loved ones for the holidays. As I mentioned, tailgating goodies for this week's games ready to go. You're going to tailgate for Friday night high school football. You're going to tailgate for Saturday afternoon for the Tigers and USF, maybe heading down to Vaught-Hemingway to watch Ole Miss play Texas A&M. Bring some Dinstall's candies and chocolates along for the ride. Whoever is tailgating with you will absolutely adore you for doing so. The best chocolates around, the best chocolates, I think, in the entire country. 5 convenient locations to get those chocolates in Collierville, in Germantown, downtown Memphis, Laurelwood, new revamped, renovated store. It's fantastic. And, of course, on Pleasant View where they make the candies. They've been making those candies and chocolates for over 120 years. So they got to be doing something right. It's Dinstall's Fine Candies and Chocolates, a Memphis institution, as I said, for over 120 years. More of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour when we return to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today. Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
Be the change you want to see. Join the Memphis Police Department. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 in relocation assistance. Other incentives include pension, health, vision, dental, and life insurance, 25-year retirement, take-home cars, over 75 specialized units. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings. Made to order, cooked to perfection. And sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. And of course, spicy Cajun fried corn. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos and enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness, exercise your right to look good.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Mornings. This hour brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Now, more of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour. Here are your hosts, Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Harold Grader.
All right, welcome back. We got the Pick Six coming up in just a moment, so we're going to need a participant, Eli.
That's right. We're going to go with, let's go caller number 3. Caller number 3, 360-8255, 360-8255. If you have not participated in the Pick Six yet this year, you are eligible. 360-8255. It'll be an opportunity for you to win $25 in piggy bucks from Central Barbecue. Picking 6 games against one of us. I hope you guys will wise up and quit going against me. But nonetheless, 360-8255, 360-8255. Caller number 3 for the chance to win some barbecue from Central Barbecue.
Mr. Braggadocious with a win last week. Unfortunately, Edward went up against Eli. Eli went 5-2. And Edward went 3-4. Of course, Edward would have lost against all 3 of us. Harold, you were 4-2.
I'll take it.
I was 4-3 for our picks last week. By the way, before we get to our picks, one game we will not be picking is Tennessee and Connecticut. Isn't that like a weird game? It sounds like a great women's basketball game. Tennessee and Connecticut this week. I thought the LSU Army non-conference matchup was strange. This one's all sort of strange as well. But Tennessee going out of the conference, 35.5-point favorites over UConn.
What's the season numbers?
Well, last week, so this was through 6, and this was through 9 weeks, and then you could add what we just did this past week. Through 9, Eli was, 36-20-3 against the spread.
Ooh.
That's impressive.
So you're a pro, though.
So that's 5 and I added a 5-2 to that.
Yes.
That's before the 5-2 week.
Yes. Oof. I hope you're using your picks and betting your house because you're doing well. Of course, when that happens, you end up losing your house. Harold, or I was 33-22-3. So that was me through 9, and then I add a 4-3. Harold, you were 32-24-3, and you add a 4-2. So we're all doing well against the spread.
How about that?
And then the callers were a combined 31-26-3. That was after UTJ's 2-4 disappointing week. And then Edward goes 3-4. So they are another game. So they're 4 games over 500. The callers were crushing us early in the year.
I was going to ask,
but they have been
do your
close.
notes say how many winners there have been of the barbecue?
2, 3, 5. So 5-5 through 10.
Okay.
5-5
pretty
through
good.
10. So our lucky caller number 3, who's in on the Pick Six this week, is Doug. Hey, Doug, how are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing fantastic. Congratulations for getting in. Thanks for listening. First question, Doug, who are you going to go up against?
I'm going up against you.
All righty.
Oh, Doug, enjoy the barbecue.
Smart move, Doug.
All right.
Enjoy the barbecue.
All right, so there we go. Doug will take on me. Our first game, we will go to the SEC. Harold already says he's doing the double dip, so he'll start in Oxford. Ole Miss is home to Texas A&M. The Aggies are getting 3 points as a road dog. It's always customary to begin with, Mr. Grader, so you will be there for at least part of the game, Harold. Who is your pick?
Well, you know, when you look at A&M and Ole Miss, obviously the first thing you think of is what? Offense, right? Well, I think defense is going to be the key in this one. A&M, the number 14 pass defense of the country, number 1 of the SEC. Ole Miss, number 23 pass offense. So you got a great offense against a tough defense. At the end of the day, I'm going to go Ole Miss because of their defense. Last 3 weeks, their defense has played really, really well. I think that's going to be the difference in this one. Was it A&M +3?
+3.
I'm going to take Ole Miss.
All right, Eli.
Well, you got DJ Durkin, who certainly knows the Lane Kiffin offense. Got to go get some practice the last couple of years.
There you go.
A&M's defense is really good. Ole Miss's defense is playing well. I'm going because I'm going with Ole Miss because the Texas A&M offense sucks. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with the fact that their offense isn't good enough, I don't think, to score the points to keep up with Ole Miss, even against good defenses.
Pete Golding's defense continues to improve.
Yeah.
If they get to Max Johnson, he's not real mobile. I think they can put some pressure on Max Johnson. A&M does have a great defense, but they're only giving 3. They're at home. That crowd's going to be crazy. They're on a nice run. I'm taking Ole Miss as well. Doug?
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you right off the bat here. I say they got the wrong team favored. I'm going with A&M. Jimbo's fighting for his job. They're going to pull it off.
All right.
On
So
the road.
Texas
Ole Miss
A&M?
looking forward to Georgia.
Okay, so looking ahead maybe beyond Texas A&M. Doug takes A&M. He'll get the 3 points, and we differ on that one. We go to the Big 12, Kansas State. We were just talking about that game. They're getting 4 in Austin against the Longhorns. Eli.
Yeah, this one's tough. I think this is the toughest one of our picks because Kansas State is playing really well, and Malik Murphy wasn't required to do a whole lot last week. If he is required to go win this game, can he do it? I'm gonna take Texas, but I don't feel great about it.
Well, it's understandable. Again, you picked them to be in the playoff, and to be in the playoff, they're going to need to win this game. I mean, this is one that I'm just going to take a flyer on Kansas State. They're playing really well. I'm looking for them to pull the upset. I wouldn't be shocked if Texas wins this game by 24 points, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Wildcats. Doug?
We're going to disagree again. I think Texas is going to pull it out. I think it's going to be a really close game, and they may not cover. It's going to be close, but I'm taking Texas to win and cover.
All right, I understand. Yep, I understand that pick. Harold?
Yes, sir. Hook 'em. Longhorns.
Texas, man, a few words on that one is Harold Grader, so he likes the Longhorns. Back to the SEC. Missouri has been one of the great stories in the SEC this year. They're getting 15.5 points at Georgia. Wow, 15.5 points. Okay, so I pick first here. Georgia, again, is one of those teams where I just think they're kind of sleepwalking, and when they want to turn it on, they can turn it on at any time. Brock Bowers is out. They're getting good quarterback play from Beck. Missouri can score. Can they score on Georgia? I think they can score enough to cover. I know they gave them fits last year. I'm going to take Missouri plus the 15.5. Just too many points. Doug?
I'm right there with you on this one. I think Georgia wins, but doesn't cover.
Harold?
Yep, I'm with you guys. I like the quarterback matchup. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. But, yeah, that 15.5, give me Mizzou.
A lot of points, Eli.
Georgia wins the game, though.
Okay.
Boy, I was going to go with Missouri. Now you guys all took Missouri. It makes me want to go Georgia, but I'm going to stick with Missouri. I think Missouri loses by 10 to 14.
All right, clean sweep for Mizzou. LSU, big one tomorrow night. Again, Harold will be there for his second part of the double dip. They get 3 at Alabama. Doug, you're first.
Oh, I'll go Tigers. I'm taking the Tigers all the way. They're going to win outright.
LSU wins outright, so you don't need those stinking points, but you'll take them anyway. LSU plus 3. That's Doug's pick. Harold?
I think this is going to be an incredibly exciting game. I think it's going to be close. I'm a little bit of a homer here. I'm going to take Alabama, but don't feel too strong about that. But, wow, what a game I think it's going to be.
Eli?
Doug, you're a smart man. Go Tigers, straight up.
Thank you.
Well, Harold, you have a daughter that goes to Alabama.
I do.
I have a daughter that graduated from Alabama.
There you go.
Give me Bama. There's another
I have a daughter that graduated from LSU.
There you go.
I don't even have a daughter. I'm just picking LSU to
win. We have to be loyal to our daughters.
That's right. Where'd the money go? Yeah, okay.
There's one that is split, Bama and LSU, and another one that Doug and I differ. Okay, we're going out west. Washington. minus 3.5, looking to stay undefeated at USC. Harold.
Ooh, I like this one a lot. 2 top 10 offenses. The USC defense, though,
is awful.
I was going to say very average, but
it's awful.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice. You're a little more blunt than I am. They're very average against the pass. Washington. Come on, Washington.
Eli.
The overs, I think 76 or something like that. I'm not sure I don't believe that's even close to enough. Washington 60-35, something like that.
Wow. Washington easily. Caleb Williams, does he still have something left in the tank? Put up good numbers last week. He's had a few games where he's thrown some picks, and that's taken him out of any chance to win a second straight Heisman. But I do believe that there's still something there. Can USC pull off the upset? Man, that defense is so sorry, and I really like Washington, what they do on both sides of the ball. Yeah, I'm going to go with you guys. I'm going to take Washington. Doug?
Yeah, USC, they've been overrated all year. Washington is a little mad from being slighted. They should have been a top 4 team in the first CFP poll, so they're going to come out and really have something to prove. So I'm taking Washington big.
Okay. And then finally,
not only the top, but both of these defenses are in like the bottom 30 in the country. Like this has a chance to be a ton of points being scored.
Yeah.
USF gets 13.5 points at Memphis. Eli.
I believe that's too many points. I'm taking USF to keep it close. I've seen this Memphis defense here in recent weeks. I don't know that they can cover 13.5 in this one.
Well, Vegas is usually good at what they do, but I don't see it. I see this defense every week as well, up close and personal, and they've had at times during every game they've played just lulls. Yeah. They're winning this football game. I feel pretty confident because Memphis' offense should be able to score at will against that USF defense, but that's 13.5 points, and we know that Memphis always has those heart ticker games. So USF and the points, I think, is the play. Memphis wins outright. Doug?
I'm going to go opposite of you again. I think Memphis is going to come out and win and cover.
Okay, cover the 13.5. Harold?
Yeah, the Tigers, if my information is correct, and Eli, you're big on knowing how teams are against the spread. I don't think the Tigers have a very good record against the spread. Is that right?
I'm not sure what they are this year. I'd have to go double check. I haven't looked at their against the spread.
I think that's the case, but I think the Tigers, and I didn't get a chance to hear your interview with Ryan this morning, but I think the Tigers, maybe for the first time in a long time this season, a complete game. I'm going to take the Tigers.
Calling for the complete game, which they have not had yet this year. So HG goes with the University of Memphis. All right, guys, let's get our best picks, our best bets here.
Oh, I forgot about that.
All right, Harold, what do you got?
My picks are so bad. Just throwing a dart at the blindfolded at the board. Texas.
Texas for your best bet, Eli?
Washington.
Washington for me as well. Doug?
Yeah, this is tough. Do I take LSU or Washington? Since y'all two took Washington, I'll take LSU.
LSU. There we go. So there's plenty to be interested in as far as our bet, Doug, because we differ on a lot of things. Thank you so much for getting in. Best of luck to you, man. We always appreciate you listening.
Hey, thank y'all. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Memphis 2-5-1 against the spread. Your information is correct.
Not so hot.
I had a feeling he was right about that. Yeah, it just seems like they're not really good as far as the spread is concerned.
This side of the program is brought to you by Acura Memphis, Ridgeway 385 online, AcuraMemphis.com. Go by, check them out. Check out those beautiful Acura automobiles. New vehicles, pre-owned vehicles, certified pre-owned Acuras. You can find it all at Acura of Memphis.
All right, we'll come back. Final segment, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour here on Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli, right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 at 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Imagine all the hits you love in one collection. Live it up with favorites like, I won, did you hear me? I won! Or the timeless treasure, I just won $5,000! And who can forget the all-time classic, look who's going on vacation! Get your hands on the cash-loaded Hit Instant Games collection at your nearest Tennessee Lottery retailer. And let the good times roll. Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime. Tonight, 2 of the NFL's toughest teams tangle when the Tennessee Titans travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon, live from Pittsburgh. It's the Titans and the Steelers, tonight on Thursday Night Football, and it's on Prime. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
As you know, the holiday season is fast approaching, and as you also probably know, 117 Prime, Memphis's premier dining destination, now has its menu available for takeout. Now, far be it from us to ever suggest that somebody could, theoretically, order a full dinner from 117 Prime and then pass it off as their own cooking at a holiday meal. We all agree that doing so would be unethical. It would be just plain wrong. But think about how much effort you could save by having 117 Prime make dinner, and then you get to reap all the rewards. Again, it would be wrong.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Coming up on Thursday Night Football, Derrick Henry and the Titans travel to Pittsburgh to face the 4-3 Steelers. Tennessee at 3-4 is coming off a win, while Mike Tomlin's squad needs a bounce-back win to stay above 500. Kevin Kugler and Ross Tucker call the action on air and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I like putting a spread bet together with the over for my parlays, and anytime player touchdown always has me on the edge of my seat. So if you're ready to do the same, visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. It expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Mornings. This hour brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Now, more of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour. Here are your hosts, Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Harold Grader.
It may be hyperbole, but Lane Kiffin talking about Texas A&M, we just made our picks on the pick 6, including that game. He said of the Aggies, they are the most talented 5-3 team ever.
Ever.
They are loaded with talent. Except
they are.
Except for at the quarterback spot. Defensively, they're loaded.
It's probably not crazy to say that because he's saying talent. He's not saying the best team. He's talking about talent. And they have a load of talent. No question about it. What are you looking at as far as the SEC?
Really looking at the West. We kind of touched on Alabama, LSU earlier and what's at stake there. But just to go back over that field one more time. Obviously Alabama's sitting there and they're undefeated 5-0 in the conference. This one with LSU this week will go a long way. Whether for Alabama, do they stay in the hunt for the division? Do they stay in the hunt for the league championship? And obviously a playoff spot. And long shot, as you said earlier, Eli, about some potential shot at playing for the national championship. But big game there. For Alabama, it's their remaining schedule. It's LSU at Kentucky, Chat, the out-of-conference game here in a couple of weeks, and then obviously the Iron Bowl at Auburn this year. Ole Miss is sitting right there. And, kudos to Lane and what that staff is doing, sitting there at 4-1, 7-1 overall. Obviously, huge game with A&M. Then they're at Georgia. Then they have their out-of-conference game against Monroe, and then the Egg Bowl at State. LSU, on the flip side of the Alabama game this week, they're sitting there at 4-1, 6-2 overall. After Alabama, they have Florida. Then they're out-of-conference with Georgia State, and then Texas A&M. So it's down to those three, I think, obviously.
Well, if LSU wins and Ole Miss wins, then you got three teams at 5-1 who have beaten each other
the round robin
in
there.
The circle. So now Ole Miss has the game at Georgia, which could knock them out of that. But if you get a LSU and Ole Miss winning this week, you got three teams tied atop.
What's the tiebreaker in the SEC?
I don't know what it goes to after the head-to-head on that.
By the way, as far as your bowl is concerned, just to look at the total picture of the SEC,
sure.
Vandy's been eliminated for a bowl. They're 2-7. They can't win enough. Arkansas's got to win all four of their final games. That ain't going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
So Mississippi State's 4-4. Auburn's 4-4. I don't have their schedules in front of me, but they got to go 2-2 to get to 6. Of course, Mississippi State's going to play Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. That's one of those games.
Yeah, Mississippi State, their remaining schedule. Let's see, Kentucky this week, at A&M, out of conference to Southern Miss, and then Ole Miss.
Auburn needs the win at Arkansas, probably, right? Because they have their non-conference game left. They got to.
Yeah,
New Mexico
Auburn.
State
Auburn's sitting there. They need 4 more. 2 more. They're at 4. Need to win 2 more. Yeah. So Auburn's schedule is at Vandy.
Well, they got Vandy. That's right.
At Arkansas, and with the way things are trending in Fayetteville, so you think that Auburn gets bowl eligible to 6, and then they have the non-conference game with New Mexico State, and then the Iron Bowl.
They don't even need the Arkansas game. They could Vanderbilt and New Mexico State.
Yeah, and when I was down there last week, talking to the Auburn people, looking at their schedule, and they think they're going to be at either 6 or 7, and I reminded them of what the selection process is like. That ultimately, the league assigns us our team as a part of that SEC pool of 6 bowl games. But certainly, and just looking at the national media guys who track this stuff week in, week out, Auburn is a team that's being mentioned. Kentucky is a team that's being mentioned for our game on the SEC side. So we're in the final month. We're heading down the stretch. Productive, good meeting last week, just visiting with the Auburn people. And, as I've said time and time again, when you go to an SEC game, for the most part, you never know who you're going to see. Walking the sidelines with his son in the pregame last Saturday, Matt Luke.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Great to see Matt.
Great guy.
Had a chance to visit with him. Obviously, living off money from Ole Miss and Georgia. He was on the staff at Georgia.
Sure.
They're living just outside of Athens, living still down in the state of Georgia. He was all tanned up, and I'm sure his golf game is in A form. So, again, one of the all-time good guys.
Yes.
Glad to see that Matt's doing well. And, again, it was good to visit with him at the game last week.
Friend of the show. But real quick before you wrap things up here, But Mississippi State, to get to 6, they're going to have to upset either Kentucky this week. It's going to be tough for them to get to 6. So maybe another team outside looking in.
Yeah, it is. And, I've become or have come to really like Zach Arnett. Could there be a quick hook down there? Could be. And I would hate that for him. That's a rare situation where you see a school, whack a guy after just one season. That might happen. I hope not.
Well, what did they give him? What do you remember, Eli? Once he had the interim year finised going into this year, what did they sign him to? How many years?
I have no idea.
I would imagine it's 3-4 years.
Isn't that state law still in place down there where you can only do a 4-year deal? Maybe
it was 4, maybe it was 3. All right, real quick, what's going on with the?
Lots going on at the world headquarters of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Number one, focused on the 65th game coming up on Friday, December 29th. That's at 2:30. Get your tickets. We have folks standing and sitting by at the world headquarters, 795-7700 to take your ticket orders. Also, off the field, today we will be making our annual donation to St. Jude. Can't reveal the number yet. We'll talk about it next week, but it will be a record donation to St. Jude, and we're very proud of that. Looking forward to that event. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl High School Football All-Star Game right around the corner, and the deadline is tomorrow for coaches to send in their nominations. A week from Sunday, we'll be selecting the teams. And so a lot going on, and we're excited about that. Memphis Touchdown Club, last meeting of the year, will be Monday, November 13th. Clark Lee, the head coach at Vandy, will be the guest speaker, and we will be presenting our AutoZone Liberty Bowl Memphis Touchdown Club Offensive and Defensive High School Players of the Year at that event.
Very nice. Zach, what do you got?
Yeah, so there's a 4-year deal, $3 million per year.
4-year deal is what they signed him to.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. There you go.
There you go.
I don't know, you whack a guy after 1 year in this situation, probably not. All right, HC, great stuff. Appreciate it, man.
If you've given the rest of the contract, it's like $9 million. They can afford it.
No, they can afford it, but I don't think they end up doing that. All right, we want to thank Kerry Miller for joining us today, Ryan Silverfield, and, of course, Harold Grader. We're back bright and early tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. Among our guests tomorrow, we'll be talking with the new Ole Miss men's basketball coach, Chris Beard. That'll be coming up tomorrow at 8:25. Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next. For Eli Savoy, for Zach Boyd, for Harold Grader, I'm Greg Gaston. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.